This episode of RP MMO Radio is brought to you by all our amazing and generous Patreon donors. Visit us at patreon.com/RP MMO Radio to help support the show. It is also brought to you by...
Hi, this is Sean Connery here with a message from the real world. Everyone's always telling you to open up, talk about your feelings. That's what they want you to think, that what you think and feel matters to those around you. You've been told this by your family, your school teachers. Every episode of Oprah and Dr. Phil or whatever brain-dead drivel taking their place these days. On behalf of the real world, though, and those of us that live in it, I'm here to tell you the naked, honest truth. No one cares. That's right. Just like you don't care about other people's problems, they don't really care about yours. They don't care about your Pokemon collection, your thoughts on the last episode of Game of Thrones, or how many carrot sticks you can put in your mouth at one time without choking. But most importantly, they can't care to find out what made up motivations your characters have. No one wants to hear it. They don't need a sentence or a paragraph. All they want is to pretend not to be their loser selves and get away from the drudgery of our mundane existence and their lives for only a few hours. After all, they aren't me, and they have to have something to keep them from a razor blade and a nice warm bath at night. So I'm Sean Connery saying, we don't care because we just don't.
You're listening to RP MMO Radio.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Where entertainment and roleplay in MMORPGs have little hybrid mutant babies.
Make a note of this. This honor on you, this honor on your cow, this honor on your whole family.
And now, here's your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Civ, Jazz, Strafe, and Yunfei.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players! Welcome to RP MMO Radio, episode 88. Don't use your words. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me tonight is the crew, Jazz, Sib, Yunfei. Strafe will hopefully be along later. He is, as of right this moment, not doing crack cocaine. He is definitely not doing crack cocaine.
Definitely not.
No, he is not. I am emphasizing that because he is not doing crack cocaine. Mm-hmm. And Sib is on mute still.
I'm here.
Yeah, there you go.
I decided to show up.
All right. So how's everyone doing tonight? Everyone alive and breathing? Gastrointestinal problems.
She's letting everyone know that she's here.
Yep.
Because my kids are ignoring her and let her outside, but didn't let her back in. So she's now at my screen door.
Ours does this annoying
trying to get
thing
my attention.
Where his tiny little chug nails like step on the metal easement, so it's just like this annoying, slightly audible scratching sound. Yeah, I'm talking about you, fat ass.
Oh.
Aw, be right back.
He's not fat, he's round.
With fat.
He's
He's like a... Yeah, come here, fatty. Come here. Let's see. Oh, my God. Oh, sweet Jesus. Look at this. Look at that. Look at all that man. That is a lot
puppy cam.
of man. For those on the camera, that is... For those on radio or on the podcast, I am actually not holding up what appears to be a sausage. It is, in fact, a living dog. that it looks just horrified right now.
Okay, I'm back.
Go on, you
Welcome back.
chug.
Yelled
welcome back.
and yeah.
How many of them did you have to hit before they opened the
I didn't
door?
have to hit anybody. I don't hit my kids, but I want to at times.
We'll go with that just because in case people are listening. Yeah. I'm glad to have everybody here. Hopefully we got a good show for you. Sorry we missed last week. I've been having awful, horrible neck problems that give also awful, horrible migraines and make it so that I can barely look at a screen, let alone talk and have a good time at anything. And Jazz went
And
mute
hey, tornadoes.
to beat her kid again. That's why she's. If you listen carefully, you could actually probably. Oh, so anyway, so Jazz is a great person and loves her kids.
I heard you, you know.
What? No,
I didn't take
no.
off my headset.
No, it's muted. That means you can't hear anything.
No. It means you can't hear me
no.
screaming at my kids. Threatening their lives. That's the only thing that means.
When did you quit beating your kids, Jazz? Oh, but
Never.
yeah, for anyone in the Midwest, ugh, it sucks, doesn't it?
Oh.
I really miss
And
one of
it's
the
muggy.
coasts right now.
And my husband's like, we're not turning on the AC till June.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
He's
And our laundry, our washer died. So,
hey.
yeah. It's been a good week.
Yeah, we had a lovely lady in our neighborhood. We're completely out of a floodplain, by the way, so when she tried to get flood insurance, they told her she's not in the floodplain, so she didn't need to. So after her house flooded yesterday, yeah, destroying everything on their floor,
Yeah.
it basically went through the back door, through the living room, through the kitchen, through the foyer, and then out the front door. But luckily, we're in a really good neighborhood. People have been donating money and time and all that stuff. It's good to be in Oklahoma. We're very friendly people, unless of course you're driving, in which case go fuck yourself. We're terrible
Oklahomans-
terrible drivers.
I've noticed Oklahomans don't quite understand stop signs.
Well,
That's a southern thing, my dear.
to
Anything south of the border of that's just it's a suggestion. It's not
to
a
pull an
rule.
old quote from the classic documentary Starman. Go, red, green means go, red means stop, and yellow means go very fast.
Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
movie.
I've almost been taken out on my bike at least 3 times now since I've been here.
Mhm.
And I have a bright
It's
orange bike.
like
you guys.
creamsicle orange. It's creamsicle.
It's like bright orange. Well, I've named her the Tangerine Dream. So
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, we watched, speaking of old movies, we actually watched Night of the Comet the other night.
Yes.
Everyone remember
I
that
loved
one?
it.
I never
not.
saw that one, so
It was from 1984 where a comet comes.
that explains that.
A
I was
comet.
working 70 hours a week in '84.
Yeah, a comet comes by once every million. This is the narrator. Once every million years, and the last time it came by, funny enough, was conveniently the time the dinosaurs disappeared. So everyone outside, not in a lead-lined box, basically turned to orange dust. And there was, of course, a group of evil, smart scientists and that were probably business owners, and it had Chakotay. Funny enough, the good-looking guy that was supposed to be in there is Chakotay from Star Trek Voyager, the second in command with the tattoos on his face. He was the good-looking 80s guy alongside the girl who was... She was pretty for the time. What was the other show she was in? She was the girl...
Starfighter.
Yeah, she was also the girlfriend in The Last Starfighter.
Yeah, less Star.
Same girl. So that was campy fun. It was a lot of synthesized music was used to the shock of
Yep.
nobody that grew up in the 80s. Oh, it was so bad. It was so good. It was so bad. But anyway, so podcast about roleplay is what we are. But we always like to catch up. So anyway, I know I've done a little roleplay lately. I know Jazz has.
Yep.
Jazz Hands has.
Yay.
Jazz Hands. And we had a bit of a disagreement, didn't we, Jazz?
Yes, we did.
Right, the part where you were completely wrong. Now I could set this up. I could set this up in a way that would do it from the beginning. But I'm gonna, because it never happens on the show, I'm gonna let you explain it first.
Oh, great.
So I'll let
I'm
you.
just an innocent bystander.
I'll let you do all the setup and explain how you think.
No,
The
I'm
Force
not
works.
getting. No, we agreed we were not going to rehash this.
No.
We were just going to talk about how we disagreed.
Right. No, but to understand the disagreement, and we'll let the listeners decide who is more right. But we'll go over. We'll go over it. So you just tell them how you thought the Force works, or think the Force works.
Not rehashing this. I didn't even come prepared. I barely even remember it really. But
Oh, okay. So
I
then
did
I'll do
spend
it.
some time that week talking to a couple of people, and I read a parse of a book that a guy wrote about how the Force and physics work together. It was a very interesting thing. I'm a geek about that stuff, so it's a lot of fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
I also had a friend of mine who is a scientist explain it to me what would be a better way to explain it.
See, that's what I was
because-
honestly wondering, is if maybe we were saying the same thing, but you were saying it in a way I was not getting
Well, I
it.
mean, that may be true. I don't know.
You want me to tell you what what it sounded like you were saying to me?
Okay.
Okay, so understand the premise of this came about because someone was doing that stupid thing where they use the Ysalamiri. And I understand the guy knows the lore, but just for my background real quick, I've seen all of
Here we
it.
go.
I've seen it all. Literally. I've seen every Star Wars. The only thing I think I haven't seen so far is part of Rebels, and that's because it is damn near impossible to find streaming without wanting to pay like $30 for half a season because they've done it so stupid. I'm hoping Disney Plus lets us finish watching that one out. But other than that, I've read pretty much all the books, even the young adult books. So over 100 books under my belt, hundreds of hours of television. I mean, I got Star Wars in my kitchen. It's part of the house. When we sell the house, someone will be buying Star Wars. So that's just a little bit of my background. But since someone was using the Ysalamiri, which, for those that don't know, they're little rat things that have a 10-meter
Lizard.
I know what they are. They're like little lizard rats. And they are stupid looking, and they were done by Timothy Zahn during the first Thrawn trilogy. I actually don't think they are currently actually exist yet. As far as I know, since their legacy, none of the Ysalamiri actually exist in the new canon, but given that Old Republic was from before the legacy stuff, that's why I don't worry about it too much. See? I got leeway. But they make a 10-meter diameter bubble of force. They push the force away. So if somebody shoots force lightning or tries to force choke them or something, anybody within that bubble, it just kind of stops at the edge and it can't get in. It just doesn't exist. So they've done it for years, having one of those on their back like a pet, and somebody called them out on it, and then there was a fight, and then they logged out angrily. But after that, we got into a discussion of force physics. And as I understood your way of thinking it, Jazz, if somebody grabs a beer bottle, because that's what I just looked at, somebody grabs a beer bottle with the force and throws it at somebody that has that rat on their shoulders, in your mind, as soon as that force throw hits the bubble, it will instantly stop and fall to the ground.
Not exactly, but yeah, that's the essence of it.
Right. And my way of doing it is the way it actually is, in that it will continue. What? Hey, you told me. I'm setting the narrative now. I gave you your chance. You lost it. So that when you throw it, you're actually, because if you watch the videos, like when Vader is fighting Luke in Cloud City and Empire Strikes Back, when he's throwing all those things at him, it's a throw. It's like, a lot of it's like a pitch. It's a controlled throw, and they do accelerate very quickly. But even if it hit that force bubble, if there was one around Luke, it would continue with its momentum on its current trajectory. He wouldn't be able to influence it inside there, but it would carry on and, boop, boop him in the head. And according to Jazz, it would just stop.
No, that's not what I said. I said it would drop.
Right. Well, that's the same difference. It would
That's
drop.
not stop.
Right.
'Cause
Well, it would
still go
stop and then.
forward, but it would be in a arc. Because
Okay.
it no
See,
longer had...
see, and that's what I was saying. So we were saying the same thing, but you said when you say it would drop, that makes it sound like it would hit the bubble and it would fall.
Well, if you're moving, if I drop my purse off my car,
Right. Right.
It does not have velocity of its own. So when
Right.
it falls off of the car, it is in deceleration mode, which means it is
Right.
simply
See, and here's-
falling at a certain rate of speed, but it is
Okay.
rapidly
See, and here's where we were
decelerating
getting
because
confused.
it no longer has force behind it. It has no velocity. It's only moving.
It's got its momentum. But see, and here's the thing where I was getting at. When people force throw things, they're throwing them they can throw them pretty darn hard, too.
They're not throwing it, though. That's where we ran into a problem,
But it's the same difference. Even if
it's not actually the
if
same
you-
thing. And
if-
that's why
if you're pushing it
people
along
got
with your
confused.
Okay, let's take okay, so you got the beer bottle in your hand and you're
Mm-hmm.
pushing your hand is the force. Now, understand that I know if you're pushing a bottle it would just fall, but you got to grip on it with the force. It's a magic thingy. And if your hand, the force is your hand and you're pushing that along, as soon as it hits the bubble, your hand will stop, but the momentum and acceleration that's already there will
Well, no, there's no velocity.
Continue on. Yes, there is.
There's no acceleration. The only thing that there is momentum. Those are not the same things. And see, that's the problem with being. I'm very specific about science. They're not the same thing.
But you understand what I'm saying. It would not.
Well,
it would have a couple inches of drop. Remember, there's
Well,
only
yes,
about,
a couple inches, but you're saying it would continue through and hit the person, and it wouldn't. The chances of it actually being able to move that far on its own is obviously if it was like,
That'd be like
a
saying-
tree, sure. But if we're talking about like
it's like throwing a
hammer.
90-mile-an-hour fastball. It makes it from the pitcher's mound all the way to the catcher.
But it's not being thrown. That's the
See,
key that
okay.
you're misunderstanding,
No,
I think. Is
see,
that
and that's where you're completely
the force is like a hand on the object, and it is taking it at the person. It does not let go of it. The force has a hold of it, and it's moving very, very fast, but it is holding it. So when it hits an opposing force, and it can no longer move, it drops it. Now that means that
the
at
bubble
that
actually
point,
isn't an opposing force. That's the thing. The bubble is just negation of the force. It just
that is
disappears.
opposing force.
That's
that
not.
is,
It's,
yes,
it just dissipates it. See,
Okay.
okay. Now here's the deal. When you guys are listening to this, because that's pretty much where we're at a standstill. Because we're not gonna go rehash it completely, obviously. But so when you guys listen to this, we'll let you decide that I'm right. So that was our disagreement. Now, that doesn't even go into the fact that you can't negate the force with a machine, but that's beside the point. So, but all you Star Wars geeks out there,
You actually can. There are collars and shackles that also have the capacity to
they actually just
stop
inflict
the
pain
force.
so you can't concentrate and
Well,
call
not
upon the
according
force.
to the things that I read about them. They
You're
negate
gonna
the
need to
force so that
share
the
all your
person who's
information.
wearing them cannot use the force. They are.
Are you sure you're not reading fan fiction again?
Well, I'm not reading fan fiction. I think sometimes you are, and that's part of the
Except
problem,
the
in my
problem where
opinion.
the stuff I read is done by authors that actually were approved by Lucasfilm. And I don't read fan fiction because fan fiction for Star Wars is 99% garbage. That's how you
agree
end up
on that.
That's how you end up getting, like, I mean, just as an example, some unknown girl that's never been trained in the Force going up against, like, a fully semi-trained dark side Jedi that betrayed Luke Skywalker, and she's on an even par with him as the planet they're on explodes, and then he kills Han Solo, and, oh, wait, no, that's the actual movies now. Damn it. Screw you, Rian Johnson. That's just my own problem there. It was Mary suing. Oh, which, by the way, if you like Game of Thrones, tune in after the very end of the show. I got something to explain why Game of Thrones ended the way it did and how I'm fairly certain it was written and given over to role players in the last 2 or 3 episodes. So that's Jazz and I's disagreement. And I still completely think you're incorrect, and I am absolutely right, and that is the way of it. And Jazz Sib's pictures in the general chat are about how I think both of us actually feel at this moment. You're on mute again.
I'm on mute again.
I was just throwing pictures out there.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so what did you, other than that, which by the way was completely dumb because we shouldn't even be role playing that you saw Lemire here there because they're almost impossible to do and only Thrawn was really able to carry it off. But that's beside the point. What did you do in roleplay, Jazz? After that.
Well, we have advanced the Find Seal treasure hunt. We managed to get it largely done. We have one more thing to do before we do that, and then probably go and get her wherever she's at. Also, Strafe has advanced his storyline, which is related to that one. And we were visited by his bad guy as masquerading as Trithalis. It was great fun. So those two were a lot of fun to play out because obviously my team did not know that this was the evil father.
Evil.
So,
and that's
the Dark Father. Yeah.
June. Is that June? It's June 4th, isn't it? When Elsewhere comes out, it's still not out yet, is it? It's
not.
Like a
I
week?
mean, it's out, but
it's out. Oh.
Well, for early release, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It comes out for everyone else here in a little
on
bit.
June 4th, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's what I was looking at because I'm a little behind. I thought I saw
But pretty
people
much
talking
anybody
about
that bought it
pre-ordered it, yeah.
Yeah.
So like me, I can't play it because I didn't buy it.
Right.
I don't get, why did they do that? I mean, if I bought it right now, I'd still be able to go in there and play it.
Yes.
So why are you saying the release date is June 4th? Why did they do that? What? It's just like
to entice people to feel special because they get to play it before everybody else. It's
even
just
though
a
everybody
it's a
else
sales
is
ploy.
even though everybody else is actually playing it, as long as they buy it, they buy it. It's
completely
such
retarded.
But it's a dumb thing.
It's a sales ploy. They do it.
I know. It's psychological.
They do it with phones. They do it with toys. They do it with lots of
just
games.
So frustrating.
It's just a ploy, and people fall for it because they want to feel special.
I think the only people that it actually does apply for are the poor console MMO players because they always get something like, "Hey, this thing we released on PC, 2 months from now you'll be playing it too." Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, they're all very bitter about that.
They're always so far behind. It's if you're playing on one of those, I feel although I have a feeling not a lot of role players probably role play on a console because you'd have to also have the keyboard, and it's very uncomfortable for me to not have this keyboard in my lap. That's just me though. So yeah. So anything else?
Well, I have a
story.
A journal entry to read.
Okay.
So this is entry 6. I don't remember what my last entry was, and I never can remember which one I actually read. So this is the current one.
Okay.
This is entry 6. The image sputters to life, showing the Lethan Twi'lek in a chair, draped across it, while her eyes watch the camera as it whirls above her. Finally got that damn thing to work. Good job, Arthazel. She chuckles, eyes on the camera, leaning her head back against the chair with one leg draped over the arm and the other dangling off the seat. She is wearing nearly nothing, a simple shift that is somewhat see-through and functioning as a robe. It clings to her obviously damp form, and the light around her glints off her obviously still damp skin. I worked out for hours and then took a long, hot shower. Been traveling for a bit, headed to meet a contact. Arthazel has kept himself busy puttering around in his quarters and inspecting the engine. He's fascinated with the alterations to it. The job to kill the Lord went well, although other than a bump for Riley, who did get hurt. Sajadi had called for them to go, and she didn't. I'm not sure what happened, and it doesn't really matter. She was repaired and doing fine now. Sajadi stated that Riley had given her some kind of tech to use, but she had no idea what it was and was far more content with her own. I suppose she assumed the girl had her own use of the same tech, which apparently she did not. Sajadi returned to the shadows, and we have a guest in the stronghold until he is ready to return to his light. Exhales, looking vaguely irritated, eyes drifting back to the camera. My surgery went well. The malfunctioning bits of tech in my head and Leku were removed. There are more, but everyone wishes to wait for their removal until I am fully healed. I spent the night in Kolto and take the injections still, but I do feel great. Better than great, honestly. Her head turns as footsteps are heard, and then an intake of breath and a quick retreat. She chuckles. Arthasol just walked in. I suppose I should go put something on. She grins and rises. Be right back. The screen goes blank and then pops back up with Kariv in her armor standing on the bridge, her eyes out the window and hand on the chair. This armor still feels amazing. It cleans up easily and helps me channel my power somehow. I will have to ask my mentor about it next time, I suppose. Apparently, I nearly died in the process of removing the junk out of my head. Raish gave me a fair portion of his life force to stabilize me and is still recovering from that. Him and my daughter have been working out, walking in the desert together as he teaches her. She's a brilliant child and fun to teach, something he and I can agree on. She sighs, fiddling with the clasp, her eyes on nothing and out of focus as she ignores the camera. She and I work out in the mornings with Raish. She resents it, but she must learn that it is necessary to channel her power. She's looking so much older than she is. It's hard for me to remember she's only 6. She turns 7 in a few weeks and looks like an adolescent. Scans read hormonal advancement, and she's definitely in puberty. Like me, she will mature early. Her rages are stunning, but Raish handles them amazingly well. Despite my misgivings, he's turned out to be the best teacher for her temperament that I could have found. Kariv exhales and returns her stare to the side at the streaking lights. There are days that I am happy that I made her, and there are days that I'm racked with guilt. What have I cursed her with? Mala says that all things happen for a reason. She's a simple woman. She loves and she is patient. I wish I had half of it. Svesti is stubborn like me and full of piss and vinegar like me, but also deeply thoughtful like Raish. I do see sometimes a bit of her other donor now and then, but Mitch was not someone I would want her to emulate. She got his melodramatics, that's for sure. We both boggle at it sometimes. She looks to the camera. We arrive soon, so I should get ready. More later. End recording.
Woo.
There we go.
Woo. Yeah, very good. So, sorry, completely ADD moment. That thing you put up, Sib, that we spend 3 billion hours a week playing video games, is it worth it? Yes, TED Talk lady, shut the fuck up. It's totally worth it.
Yes, it is.
What the fuck? Well, would you rather me sit in front of the TV watching sports all day, or maybe some more Netflix shows that I could binge watch in like 48 hours in a week? Yes, it's fucking worth it. Mind your own goddamn business.
Thank you, thank you.
Sorry, actually.
No, they'd rather that they're pissed because the reason that these people put up this nonsense is because they want us watching TV and movies and buying movies and going to movies and paying for TV shows and every single TV channel now, like the originals, like CBS, all that, they all charge you to watch stuff on the internet.
Yeah,
they all want you to do it. And all of them are not getting the numbers that they thought would happen, because why would I do that when in 2 years I can just watch the whole goddamn thing on Netflix or Hulu?
Yeah, or
something comparable.
Like for me too personally, like I love we loved Game of Thrones, which, like I said, tune in afterwards. I'll give you a quick what I thought of it, but we subscribed to HBO for about 2 months, in this case, a month and a half, and then we cancel it. Why? Because everything else is garbage, or I can watch it on Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon, a la carte, as I want it. I don't, there's not, Westworld is not bad. I think we're gonna finish watching the second season of that, but so far after one episode, we both kind of almost fell asleep by the end of it. But yeah, it just canceled. Even like the CBS with the Star Trek Discovery. Very good show. Very good Star Trek. Waited till all 10 episodes were out. Did a 7-day trial. Canceled it. Now that all the episodes for season 2 are out, I'll do a 1-month thing for it and can cancel it. I'm not going to... There's seriously also CBS. There's literally nothing else you have that's that interesting. It's Star Trek's pretty much it. And the new Picard one.
I mean, I would love to do that, but I will just be patient and I will see it eventually. And
Well, the only reason I do it is because
NCIS.
I'm patient.
NCIS, I would have paid money to see that, but they wanted too much. And not when I pay for Netflix and Hulu. That's already right there, $20.
Well, that's
more.
that too. Remember what I was saying earlier? The only thing I haven't watched, Sib and I haven't watched together, is the Star Wars Rebels, and that's because, we didn't have like Cartoon Network and a DVR when it was coming out. But even to buy it on DVDs, they split one season of like 20-something episodes into 2 box sets, each worth $30. When the first season for the same number of episodes is also worth $30.
Yeah.
So they doubled the price. But now, the Disney one's coming out. They're, Disney's own streaming channel. But the difference in that one that makes it kind of worth it to me is I think it's going to be like, I think it was $60 a year. It's like $5 a month, basically. Now, $5
Which
a
I might
month,
be willing to do, but Hulu is making noises that they're gonna. Hulu's owned by Disney, so
right, and that's and I think they're gonna take some of the stuff off. But the same thing, Disney's library. I mean, Star Wars, Marvel movies, everything Disney has made ever. That's kind of a vast thing. That makes it worth to me $5 a month, at least until it's not. It's the same thing with Netflix. Netflix, I never run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. They're always got good stuff. But, yeah, seriously, 3 billion hours a week in video games.
they're just pissed that we're not
What is that?
watching
cares?
TV.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing is it takes away from their advertising dollars because they can't have it. If they could run ads in a game and get away with it, they would.
Oh, they absolutely. Yeah.
No, that's what mobile games are for.
That's what mobile gaming is. That's why
mobile gaming is such a why they're saying, it's the wave of the future. No, it's not. Fuck you. It's never going to be a game that everybody. I don't want to have ads when I'm playing a game.
Especially
and
after
also not paying $3 for every
puzzle.
game I have, so they can bite me.
Apparently, this is from an old TED Talk from quite some time ago,
Yes.
but at the same time. So I like to think it's probably 4 billion hours a year now, or a week
It's more
now.
than that. I mean, think about the population and then think about how many people play games versus how many people watch TV. I'll bet you it's about equal.
And then China. That's in China. I mean, we watched it.
If you're worldwide, that's
yeah.
dumb. Yeah,
Well, when we put, we were watching a video on the craziest things that have happened to Chinese gamers, in their gamer cafes and internet cafes. The guy that was at his seat for over 90 hours, and when he tried to get up, his legs didn't work anymore. There was a guy that fought with his wife, and he went and stayed 96 hours in an internet cafe and went temporarily blind staring at the screen for that long. There was one guy that actually literally put his head through a monitor, and it got stuck because I don't know if you know what a monitor's made of, but it's a lot of glass and hardware, and the crown of his head got stuck. He hit it so hard because he was so pissed. I like to think that
what did he think would happen, though?
I don't think he was thinking at that moment. I mean, I've been mad in game. I've slammed my fist down and getting frustrated doing a multiplayer game of like Mortal Kombat, but I've never thought, what I should do?
Yeah.
I'm going to stick my cranium through that thing in front of me that lets me have all the fun.
Never been smash my melon into a monitor bad.
No.
No, me neither.
But, however, our kids, Jazz.
Well, I have holes. My son has holes in the walls.
I know.
From his bullshit. I'm gonna post pictures of them. It's ridiculous. He's kicked holes in his walls, both in his bedroom and in his office. And I told him I'm fixing it once he moves out of the room, and he's going to move into my other son's room that went into the care facility. He's moving into his room. I said, if there's holes in those walls, I'm going to beat you with a hammer. I swear. I'm not putting up with that again. Do not do it.
Yeah, I think ours gets temporary Tourette's.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
I never get that
kid.
angry. I don't understand it, but yeah.
No, not unless somebody doesn't know how the
If you're
force
getting
works.
that angry, you probably shouldn't be playing.
No.
The number of F-bombs I have heard come from upstairs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sailors are like, God damn, that boy's got some anger. So anyway, it's completely off the touch. I don't even know where you found that, but
I'm just looking at memes, and I was like, I got to put that up.
yeah, that's from a TED Talk back in 2011. When I saw that number, I had to look that up. And I do love we got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. But so, Anything else, Jazz? Before I move on to other.
No, that
Okay.
was,
Just wanna make
those
sure.
were the things that we worked on. I'm
wanna
really
cut
having
you
a lot
off.
of fun. Shout out to Kishmas.
Yeah. Old
I'm
Kishmas.
having just a great time with Kishmas and Battle. Caves, who's Caves,
Right.
and Kishmas and Caves from ESO are now in tour with me, and the three of us have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just the three of us sometimes because nobody else is around.
I've been
Bouncing off
poking
of
around
people.
a little bit, but I've also been
Join us. You're almost never around us. Come and hang out with us.
I'll be honest. Part of the problem was what I realized when we had that role play before we got into that disagreement. The shit people were talking about, I was completely in the dark on because I've not played through the story quest and I'm still 2 expansions behind. So I don't know I don't know where the lore currently is.
Well,
fully.
you can go and read about it.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
I'm
you can-
playing. I enjoy finding
Okay.
out through the game. That's,
Okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But
So
when I
once-
first started playing, I hadn't played through it all yet, and so I just went and read about it so that I would be up to speed.
Yeah, but I just glossed over it. He's like, someone was like, I knew was our new empress, and I was like, yeah, she's awesome, isn't she? She's pretty hot with her dark side thingies and her, crackling and her. She got a great cackle. I love her cackle. Her cackle's one of my favorite things about her. I had no idea what the fuck he was talking about, but that's just kind of the thing. You can also smooth over that stuff until you learn details in roleplay. It wasn't like, I'm not getting into a philosophical argument about the current state of the Empire with him or anything, obviously, because I would be completely talking out my ass, but I could be like, oh, okay, so there's something that's going to come up eventually, but, yeah, it's been fun. Seeing parts of it remind me why I also hate Star Wars roleplay, because I do enjoy Star Wars so much, and then when people take incredible liberties, it drives me out. I'm not even talking
Can
about
we put a
you.
no in this?
I'm not even talking about you. Just some of the, just the stuff I've seen, like in Fleet, or it makes my skin twitch and crawl, and I have a hard time. I have a hard time letting it go.
Really,
I'm a huge fan.
emotionally involved when
That's the thing.
people. We had a guy that's new to our guild, and he started role playing that he was both light and dark at the same time,
Because
both
that's
extremes
never
in
happened
the same
before.
person. And I was like,
Revan.
sorry, that doesn't. Yeah, stop that. And
That worked
you
great
you
for
can be a great
Revan.
Jedi, you can be a great Sith, but
Yeah.
you can't be two opposites at the same time.
He's trying to be Revan. Revan was the only character in the lore that did both. And literally, he's almost the only character, and in the stuff that he had to go through. There was a literal mind wipe involved in it. I mean, the Jedi completely wiped his mind, and I mean, that's the whole Old Republic original video games for the Old Republic was all about that.
Anyway, so we explained to him that wasn't, and he was like, "Oh, you mean I have to follow lore?" Yes, dear. Oh, well, that's
see.
not nearly as much fun. I'm like, well, that's the way it is. And he took it
Yeah.
in stride,
Yeah, well,
and he
that's
started
good, at
something
least.
else, and then we were like, you can't do that.
jeez.
Really? Still? Yes. Okay, fine. So
But
then
I'm
he
half
switched it again.
dragon, Jazz. Come on.
He took it in stride. He gets credit for that.
Yeah, that's good.
He took
But
it in stride.
He
but
wasn't really okay. Oh, real quick, sorry. Did you say the other day that you saw someone role playing a vampire in Star Wars?
yes, he's been there forever. He's been there since beta.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I was getting my games crossed, or not getting my games crossed, and that I read that and died a little inside.
He's from Earth too.
Oh, good. Of course he is, because
Yeah.
that Earth doesn't exist in Star Wars.
Well, he says it's expired. They destroyed themselves. And
Um,
only the vampires survived.
By the way, let me quote one thing real quick. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. A long time ago
Yeah, in
a
the past.
galaxy far, far
Yeah,
away.
I know. But you can't explain dumb to people. He seems like a very nice man. I've talked to him. He doesn't
I'm
mix. He
sure
seems
he's
very
great at
solid.
soup kitchens.
But he obviously has no concept of lore. And he has been and he had a vampire guild in Tor where he had at least 50 people in his guild at one point. role playing vampires. So, but pretty much the entire community hates him or has him on ignore.
See, this is where the Sean Connery, the razor blade and a nice warm bath starts sounding really good. Really good right about now. Right about here. Really good.
I just don't RP with him, you know.
Well, no.
But I don't. Mm-hmm. He's walked up to my character before and talked to her, and he alludes to being a vampire constantly. You know, fang slips out from his lips and things like that. So,
if you didn't know that about him, then how would you know? I mean, if he didn't say it every 5 seconds,
yeah,
my right eye flares.
Yeah,
not to offend a whole bunch of people, but vampires in role-playing games are kind of like vegans in real life.
And CrossFit vegans at that.
They will let you know within the first 2 sentences of meeting you.
Or I've actually found there's a new kind of vegan out there I found on the internet. It's the people that never watched a single episode of Game of Thrones, and they have to tell you in every fucking comment section on Facebook about an article on Game of Thrones that for whatever reason that they've never watched, they still felt compelled to click on and then let everybody know they've never watched a single episode of Game of Thrones.
They're just bored.
They're the vegans of Game of Thrones. Just saying.
You're not wrong. I mean, every vampire I've ever known, with a few exceptions, Tilder, but he didn't have to hide. But no, there's been a couple I can't even think of. But Tilder's the best one, really.
Longest. Well, and he was the best primarily because he managed to hold it out on the longest and keep it at that level the entire time. He never went into the sparkly, I have to show you I'm a vampire
and
thing.
You didn't find out. If you found out he was a vampire in private, it meant he was going to kill you.
Yeah. or you were serious, or you were on his level and about to fight.
Right. Or you were his equal. I mean, one or the other. If like when Vaca knew, because they knew each other in the past. And so when she remembered her past, she remembered him and she realized who he was, and that was funny. It was a funny moment. But most people didn't realize, and he doesn't roleplay being, other than he'll be like, when somebody's like, "Hey, you want to help me with this fire?" and he says, "I'll pass." Why? I am easily warmed.
Yeah.
He said that one time with a straight face.
Easily warmed.
It was hilarious. I'm easily warmed.
And just to drag this conversation down another level of hell, speaking of the sparkly vampire, Robert Pattinson, say hello to your new Batman, everybody.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Who knows? He might be great. He might be terrible.
Just like Ben Affleck. Or George Clooney. Or Val Kilmer. Or Jared Leto as the Joker.
I thought they all looked pretty good. So
They looked good. Of course, to be fair, the Clooney one, I always felt so bad for the Clooney one because that director did not give a shit and he didn't even want to direct the movie.
Was that the nipple suit?
That was the nipple suit one. That was the fourth
that kind of
Batman.
freaked me out a little.
But I think somewhere in the past, I think someone has deeply hurt and abused DC Comics that they keep doing these kinds of things. I don't know if it's like emotional abuse or physical, but I really hope that DC Comics gets some help and the help they desperately need to stop this self-hurt. It's just sad. I mean, they've got Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Shazam, were the only good movies, and they keep having to redo their cinematic universe, and it's just bad. I feel bad for them. It's bad. It's all bad. Robert Pattinson sucks. So, all right. I feel, I want DC's comic. I want to have a good Superman and Batman universe. It'd be awesome, but they're just so bad.
So anyway,
so bad. So anybody else do anything video game or roleplay wise this week or last 2 weeks since we were off an extra week?
Anybody else?
No, we've had trouble with power.
Yeah,
so I haven't been on several nights. I think last night was the first time I was able to log on anything.
Yeah, we've had to keep our computers off. That roleplay I had with you, Jazz, was like all the time I've had.
Oh, okay.
That's all I played Fallout last night, and I didn't even play it that long. I was
Yeah.
super tired of
Excuse me.
the weather and stuff. But no, I haven't done much of anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is one sucky. I've in the days I have been on, you guys were over in ESO, which I don't care because I was playing the game. But half the days we have, it's like, oh look, another thunderstorm. Click off the PC. Oh look, another thunderstorm. And then one day it was like, oh look, a tornado, and the power went out. Awesome. Which, by the way, we found out every single one of our flashlights does not work. Which was a good time to find out when you had no power.
Yeah, you really should test those out beforehand.
We had plenty of batteries, but when we would put brand new charged batteries in the flashlight that had previously worked and has not been touched since, they would not turn on. I did not know a light bulb could go out when it was not in use. That was news to me. And they were LED ones, some of them. So, I don't know. We had candles, and our house smelt fantastic.
It was very nice.
It was very nice. We don't usually light our candles until apparently all the power goes out, and we find out we are very boring people as we're all sitting in the living room on our phones going, God, I hope this thing doesn't die. I don't want to have to talk. I'm looking around, there's Sib and our boy, and I'm like, oh, God, if we have to talk to each other, we are so screwed. So, yeah, that was our deal. But I will say, I have to say, Jazz, because I think you've played through the thing on Star Wars, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's actually. I mean, I'm not through the Knights of the Fallen Empire expansion yet. It's surprisingly well done. Like they really, I have to like their cinematic game. They really upped the cinematics for the storytelling on that. But I think I did get to a place where I saw you complaining about where all of a sudden everything's voice acted and motion captured and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden you get to one spot and it's like you just click on what you want your character to say from a menu, and then they reply to it without your character talking.
Yeah,
again.
that's a throwback to a previous game.
Right,
Apparently, it's
to the
supposed to be that
original,
way.
but
Yeah,
it's a little jarring because everything before that wasn't like that at all. And then does it stop? Please tell me it stops.
it does. It's just like one thing every now and then.
Like
It'll
there's 4 guys I had to talk to that were, I guess, important for some reason, and that menu thing popped up, and you know what I think it was, and this is just my theory. I think they had. I imagine to pay for the main voice acting characters is more expensive than like the guys that they get from within the studio that are just always there, which is a lot of the same voices, if you notice, pop up over and over again. And I wonder if they're like, we have extra time, we need to flesh this part out, but we can't bring the voice actors for the characters back in. So let's just do this old menu thing like we did back in the Old Republic, back in the original game. That'll be fun and nostalgic. Kind of, but also a little jarring. But the story-wise, I have to give it to them. They made a proper Star Wars story. And I will also, one other thing, because since we're doing Star Wars stuff, I saw who's writing. They're saying that there is a movie script in production for a Knights of the Old Republic movie. And the girl that's writing it is the same one that wrote the Battle Angel Alita movie that James Cameron did, which Sib and I loved that movie. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Story was good. Fight scenes were good. So if they're able to bring that same sort of fun flair to a Knights of the Old Republic and get away from the fucking Skywalkers, that'll be good. I'll be happy. So with that, now that we're into the show deep, oh so deep, let's go to our main topic, which kind of came up from a question from Indigo Jules. Where is this stupid thing? Yeah, there. Roleplay questions. He said,
Really? Because I've never heard him say that before.
this is why nobody likes you. You don't make no sense.
I know.
You don't make no sense, Lieutenant Dan. No, he's actually said, show idea, should you ask permission before acting out emotionally dramatic RP with a person? This actually happened last episode, so now, 2 weeks ago. But it kind of got us on a rant of both asking that question and the other one, which is when you should shut the fuck up and stop talking about stuff OOC. Because there's definitely, I mean, making sure things don't get crossed and you're all on the same page, that's one thing. But then there's where a lot of people take it. And sometimes...
And we just had a situation in ESO on this exact thing. So this will be interesting because it's very apropos for what I had to deal with this morning.
Oh, really? And this was from a show I did 2 weeks ago that we had written out for last week that we didn't get to. So, apparently, it does come up. So we have brushed against this a time or two. Usually we brush against it quite violently because I know it's a pet peeve of mine, of Jazz's, and pretty sure anybody that gets stuck with one of these people, it's kind of like being stuck with a close face talker that gets within your personal space at work every time they have to tell you a story about their life that you actually really don't care about, but you can't get away without being rude, and then you have to work with this person every day, probably for the rest of your life or until they die.
Or it's like someone letting you borrow a book, handing it to you, and while the book is in your hand, telling you all about the book.
That's actually very good. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Darth Vader is Luke's daddy. And he wears black leather.
Oh my god, spoilers.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
Spoilers.
Game of Thrones wasn't worth it in the end.
Spoilers.
All right, role play.
But
okay.
So yeah, we violently brushed up against this because it is a pet peeve of many
It is
people.
a pet peeve, primarily when not only do they expect you to ask them permission for everything that you do, but they also want to spend intels lots of time explaining the reasons for every little fucking thing that they do, and it literally drives me insane.
And it talks
short trip, granted, but it's just just want and because I'm a nice person, I don't want to be rude. Shut up. Shut up.
I got bullshit
I try
stuck
to
in
be
my
a nice
throat.
person. How about that? Is that
there
better?
You go. That's better. That's better. That's believable.
I try to be a nice person and not be rude. You know, like my husband, for example, will come into my room and he'll be like, I want to show you this song. And then he spends the next 15 minutes, not as much anymore, but when we first got together, explaining the first time that he heard the song and how it made him feel and where it comes from and what it's mimicking. And another artist that he really loves that did this song first that was so much better. And this is why, yes, while my brain is slowly melting and falling down the back of my skull.
I love him. I love
and I'm
him.
trying very hard to look interested. And he eventually picked up on my expressions, unfortunately. And after we'd been together for about a year, one day he just stopped talking and I looked at him and he went, "You don't give a rat's ass, do you?" No, not really. Then why didn't you tell me that? I said, I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
It's like listening to your kids talk about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Or Fortnite.
And so now he'll come in and he'll show me the song or whatever, and he'll say, and really short story, and he'll tell it to me, and he goes, "See, that wasn't horrible." I said, "No, it wasn't. Now can I watch this?" Thanks. And I watch it halfway through. I get the gist of it. I'm like, "Can I stop?" "No, you have to watch it all the way through." Okay.
There's a great line in Cowboy Bebop when one of the characters is going through her complete life story, and one of the other characters, Spike Siegel, is listening, and she's like, "You listened to that whole thing." "Yeah, but your story needs editing."
Yes.
But yeah, so it comes kind of ask your people that asking for permission in roleplay, which there is a place for that for certain things. You definitely should do that, but also importantly is when not to ask for permission in roleplay. And also giving the life story and spoiling the book before the roleplay even begins. And I'm sorry, I keep burping into the mic slightly, but I'm trying to hold it back. That's what I get for having carbonated beverages on the show. All right, so moving on. So here are a couple things that I think are probably good to ask for permission in roleplay. Kind of an important one, being related to another character.
Oh, please. Nobody, I mean, you would be surprised how many people are like, "Oh, and I'm Vaka's cousin." What? No, you're not.
I can't believe people do that.
I'm your daddy. Wait, no.
I had a guy. I no lie. I had a guy way back appear in the guild hall and was RPing, and I knew him because I had role played with him on another character. And he told me, "This is one of my alts." You know, he sent me a tell so I would know, because in EQ you couldn't tell.
Right,
I mean,
like
there
ESO.
was no way to know.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, hi," and he was like, So let's role play. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, and I'm your father.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
And it was so funny because the minute he said that, now you remember the Vakar story, he has been a guild enemy more than once.
Yeah.
And has attacked the guild. So the minute he said, you know, and as your father, I just wanted to check up on you. And like 2 people grabbed him and they like threw him under the ground.
Yeah. It's like, you realize you're the bad guy in this scenario. You don't know the
wait,
lore,
wait,
do
why
you?
are you doing this? And to his credit, he did go along with it at first, but he was like, and they were like, can I just cut his head off, please, please,
Yeah.
please? And he's like, wait! Why are you doing this? I'm like, dude,
You probably should have asked.
Vaka's father is a villain in our guild. Oh, I didn't realize that. Maybe you might have wanted to ask that first.
She has what we call daddy issues. Her
Very bad daddy issues.
They want each other dead.
Yes. They actively try to kill each other for 10 years of roleplay. Yeah.
So, yeah, being related to people, even peripherally, like even cousins.
I'm your cousin's brother's wife. No, you're not.
I'm your brother's, sister's, cousin's former roommate.
But people do that. They want to be connected to you, and rather than ask you, which I have no problem with. I had a guy say, I really want to be related to Vaka. How can that work out? And I explained, and I said, this is the way it would work. If you don't want to be a special duper duper thing that we are, then you can just be someone who married someone that was related to Vaka, and that's fine. Or someone that was adopted into the family, because Lord knows the woman has like 300 children she's adopted. So you can just be one of those. And he was like, okay, but they have to ask.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people that are like you too, that yours is kind of the more the merrier, You're like the Mormon of roleplay family. I mean, there's just the more the merrier. We're gonna have funeral potatoes when someone dies. It's awesome. But me personally, I hate being related to people, and I've had several people ask me, "Can I be related to you?" And I say, "Yeah, no." And they're like, well, why not? I said, because his family's all dead. He's the only survivor of the line, and there's nobody. Well, what if somebody? No, they didn't. They were all buried alive. Yeah. Okay. So what if they married? Yeah. Unfortunately, on the day of the wedding, the food was poisoned, and they all got jaundice.
He really does do this, by the way. He has had these conversations with people, because I've had them tell me he was very rude and showed me screenshots, and all I could do was almost pee myself laughing because of the way he was talking to these people, and they were too stupid to understand what he was trying to do. It was just hilarious.
I'm polite the first time, and I give it no. My character doesn't have any relatives, and unfortunately, he can't be related to them. And I control that narrative because it's my character. Yeah. So,
and you can barely be in a relationship with his character.
Yes, even when you're married to him.
Yeah, even when you're married to him.
Yeah, it's no picnic, that's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like making connections with people, but I don't know.
I learned from Vaka that I didn't ever want to do that again. So,
and you're my character better about it than I am.
Yes, because I allow people to be like, maybe we knew each other 10 years ago, and that's fine. I have no problem with connections in history.
Knowing people is one thing. It's
but
the relative
Strafe
thing
and
that stops me.
And Caves and a couple people that I'm really good friends with all sat down like Wolf and decided how our characters were related from the start before we even started the guild, so that we would have it set. And Strafe and I set up from the start. He was going to be both her father and her uncle in different characters.
Why wasn't I invited to this meeting?
You weren't playing.
I also would have said no, fuck off.
Exactly. I know you.
But it's what you have to be. It's one of those things. Like,
well, they did have a history together. They did know each other.
Yeah,
history,
and I'm totally fine with like history and having met each other or worked in the past. That I'm good with. There's something about the relative thing.
Well, it allows people a false sense of intimacy, and there's something that gets crossed when that happens, especially when people are not mentally or emotionally stable.
By the way, if you're in the Vertigus River area, it's flooding, and you should take shelter and evacuate now. The phones just went off for the 3rd time today about Vertigus. It's really, really bad here.
It
so
is
bad.
really
AT&T. What was it you said that they were going to do?
They sent out a text yesterday.
Yeah.
And they said that for the next 4 days, they're going to let people in the area that have their service have free texting, free phone calls, and free data usage. Just because it is so bad.
Yeah, that way they
Which
can
I was
stay
really
up.
impressed with. I was like, okay, that's not normal. But
yeah, fuck you, Sprint. Why do you hate flood victims? Huh?
Bastards. They just put out something like that, but we don't have Sprint.
We don't have Sprint, so fuck Sprint.
We don't know.
AT&T is our overlord. We all hail AT&T. Also, we get a 25% discount for whatever reason because we're with the post office, and that has nothing to do with why we remain with them. It's totally why we remain.
I thought it was pretty nice of them.
No,
to
that's
be able
actually
to do
pretty
that.
cool. So, but yeah, it's just ask permission for being related to people.
So yeah, always ask, always have that conversation. I dislike OOC conversation. I do not do it very often, but that is one thing that you have to have that conversation if you're going to be related. And every now and then you do have to sit down with that person that you're related to and say, okay, so this is happening. What about this? You have to have those conversations. Even if you don't know them very well, OOC, you have to let people know about certain things when they happen. So having that conversation is absolutely important.
Yep. And then that kind of leads into the next one, which we touched on to ask permission for, is intertwining backstory and history of your characters. That you should definitely talk out in advance. And, like Jez and I, we've known each other so long. So when our characters use the Hexvin guy, he just worked with her in the past sometime when we didn't even go into details.
And he's an old guy, so it wasn't that long ago. But she's young, so it wasn't that long ago. But they crossed paths, and he came looking to see what she was doing.
Yeah, and then Xanatos, we didn't really have to make that one up because there's actual history in roleplay, so that one's a lot easier. But yeah, anytime even if you trust the person, obviously, but even with Jazz, I still ask, like, it's cool if we've known each other before,
Yep, Strafe has always asked. Everybody that has ever been connected to my characters that I let happen in ESO anyway, has been great about it, letting me know, asking questions, so that we can manage it, and that's fine. But I've had people ask me if they can be related to her, and I've said no. History's fine, relation is not. I've learned the hard way from Vaca that it superficially connects you on a level of intimacy that people then misunderstand. So it's really your best bet not to do that unless you know them really well first.
Right, and that's actually I think that's why I turned off to it early on, is that I saw that with you constantly.
Yeah,
and I'm also of course when I started role playing, I was with a lunatic that was very, very weird about all that stuff. So it's just easier just not to. And even with Sib, that's unfortunately carried over. I think we've told the story. The first time I got her to roleplay, I was like, my character's single. She's like, okay.
Yeah, and then, until somebody asked if I wanted to be in a relationship with their character, and then he's like, no.
And then the neurosis came in. It's like, and then I was like, nope. I realized at that moment, this is a hangover from my previous marriage, and I need to get over it because this one I love, and she's role playing, and she's awesome. So yeah, we can be connected. And I don't know, it was one of those weird hangover things that I just I wasn't like hung over.
Happens.
Yeah,
holdover.
Thank you. God, I knew what I meant.
I will say Strafe is super good at asking because I know whenever I've been gone from ESO for a time now, and our characters had been in a relationship after Ashton was okay, and
yeah, I'm okay with it now as long as I know the guy.
That came up that he wanted to put in the story, and he actually asked me, and I had told him already, you have my complete permission to do whatever you want to with my character. Just do not kill her. That's all I ask. And he still will come and ask me. And I'm like, you don't have to, but it's really nice that he does.
Yeah. So her character has no arms and legs now, but she's still alive. She's also part clockwork machine. She's like robo-volley.
No. Oh, next level.
He would probably
he wouldn't do that.
Probably like that. Like, yeah.
Freeze, punk.
But it is nice to get just asked.
Yeah.
Even though
it's super easy. And yeah, it can be a little nerve-wracking at times, but there are just some assumptions you should not make. And another good time to ask permission for, and chat back and forth is RP duels, and that comes more.
God, yes, have that conversation.
Yeah, we skipped that conversation in a recent role play. And it ended up being all right. It was
now. Be fair, I didn't skip it. Originally, there wasn't going to be conflict, so
there you go. And also,
because I asked him, and he was like, "Oh no, you're just going to go here. We're going to have a brief confrontation. It's going to be over." I'm like, "So there's no because I know how badly."
Right. That's why when I found there was conflict, I'm like,
I would have warned you guys if I had. Yeah, this wasn't supposed. And then all of a sudden, the day of the thing. He was like, "Oh, by the way, we're going to have to start rolling." What?
Yeah. And
his people didn't know either because he had told them it was just going to be a simple thing.
And that's so weird too because he actually did the guy that set this whole role play between two guilds up. That's why I was like, I think I said 50-50 shot that this Gen Z's in a retcon and in tears.
Oh yeah.
But he set it up and he helped keep it going really well, like a pro.
Yes, because some of them didn't take losing their roles well.
Are you away from your mic?
Some of them didn't take losing their roles really well, and it got
one
intense.
Of them really didn't. Yeah,
two of them did not appreciate losing their roles. They apparently felt that rolling's great as long as you win. That's not how that works.
Not to mention, just like right off the bat, Jazz. The first thing Jazz did because thankfully in Star Wars, like most games, you can actually do /roll. ESO, I'm looking at you still. But she just did /roll, which does an automatic 1 to 100, and they're like, "LOL, why are you doing 100? Oh my god, we can't figure this out. Oh my god, we do 20." It's like, all right, well, you could just say like we do a D20, and so then she re-rolled as a 20, and then still beat them, so it didn't really matter.
Wait, they couldn't figure out how to count?
I guess in their role play, they are just so you know how some people get, they're so dead set in their way. So in all their combat for their guild, they just do 1d20 or just roll through 20. And
they thought that they were just going to roll once, and it was going to be decided who won the conflict. And,
is that what they thought?
Yes, and I poked him, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And he went, no, we're not doing that. Hold on. And so he talked in his guild, and he let them know that that's not
what because there were certain things that the guy set this up. He wanted to get away from this guild for
right, and they thought, I think he had not completely explained that he was going to get away.
At least that's not on us. Which is, again...
He had originally said we were going to kill him. And that was all this was going to be. Ambush, kill, run.
Right. And then it turned into kidnap.
And it turned into kidnap and rolls and fighting, and it was complicated. It went really well, and I don't want to... In case he's listening, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot
But it was very confusing because people did not know what was going on. It's one of those things where having that conversation ahead of time would have been very helpful. And some of the people that were there really felt like they should be rolling with a +10 because they were whatever, and everyone there was a seasoned person.
Right. Yeah, because I was on my character.
I was like,
I finally brought Xanatos out, which is my Sith Lord guy, and he's very good and been around a long time. And even though he started out with a blaster because it was supposed to be like a stun thingy, and
right, so they were going to use the stun so we wouldn't accidentally kill anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the very first girl
that
came after me, she lost her role, and she did that thing that so many great role players do, where she lost her role when she charged, and I reciprocated as a block. It was just he pulled out at that time he had a gun, he pulled out the lightsaber and blocked and deflected it, and and then she did the I didn't want to be here anyway, and then just kind of walked off to the side. It's like, okay, well, thanks for playing.
Whatever.
Here's your consolation prize.
Yeah. But that is a perfect example of why you should have that conversation and have it set up ahead of time so that you are ready to go.
And and again, this one actually surprisingly, it ended okay. I actually did end up having a good time. It was fun. Of course, I only lost one roll, and that was against another defense, so it actually didn't do anything to me, and I never took a single hit. So, of course, I had a good time. My rolls were awesome. For a change. It's a lot easier to have fun when everything goes your way, but I did go into it with we're outnumbered. It is kind of an ambush situation, and it can go bad, and we're not even supposed to really win, so getting, quote unquote defeated or pushed back and then to flee.
And actually, we weren't outnumbered. We were only outnumbered by 1, and he showed up late
that's right, yeah.
and came in the back. So we weren't outnumbered, and that was also annoying is that he showed up. And because he was the guy that was running it was like, oh, thank God, because he was worried that we were going to have to concede a loss if our rolls went bad, and then this guy showed up. And
but at that point, I think you'd only lost 1. I hadn't lost any. I mean, the rolls were definitely on. The rolls were with
weirdly,
us.
Yes. Yeah. Knock on wood.
But it went well. But it could have gone smoother had he just been a little bit more forthcoming with exactly what it was he was.
I just don't think he planned it very well. He's new. He's young.
Yeah.
And he got excited, and everything changed at the last minute, and he just kind of punted.
It developed,
which is fine when there's 3 of you. When there's 10 people involved,
it gets
a little different,
a little hostile.
Yeah.
Especially when one side loses and they don't do that very well. So anyway. Next one you should always ask about permission for is ERP age of consent. No, seriously, always. Don't do it with the underage. It's been a plague lately, apparently.
It has, because more and more young people are role-playing, and they present themselves as being old enough, which is not your fault. But when they tell you that they're young, back the fuck off and go away. I used to ERP a lot, and we would be to the point where we needed to have that discussion because clothes were starting to come off, and I would say, pause. What do you mean? Just pause. Mm-hmm. How old are you? Seriously? How old are you?
But
are you over 18? No. How old are you? 17. Okay. I am not. I am much older than that. So I think we're going to fade to black at this point, and we'll just say something fun happened. Is that okay? Sure. Okay. Yeah. Now, it wasn't okay. They were pissed off because they wanted the ERP.
Right.
But I know it's legal in many states if it's over 16. I do not do that. Now, of course, there is a young man. I'm looking at you, Nylock.
Mm-hmm. He lied, though.
Blatantly lied to me, and so that is not my fault.
And not for 1, 2. I think it was 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years he lied to us. Yeah. He was 14 when he started with us.
Yeah, so 4 years. Yeah.
But
and he
didn't role play with Silver Circle directly until he was 15. And also Jack Searle, I'm looking at you too. Both of whom were having big. I have to go. It's my birthday party. And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm 21." And I did the math, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're what?" And he was like, I mean 28. Nice try. You're 21. That means you were 15 when we started role-playing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. I was so mad. But, yeah.
Little shit.
Little shits. But I always stop and ask people, even now, and I don't ERP anymore, but if it starts to get racy, I ask.
Yeah, even flirty. And
if they're under 18, it's like, we're done.
Yeah.
We can fade to black from here. We'll just say it happened. And that's done.
Yes. All right. And the last one here is, actually we just went over it, setting up inter-guild role-play and plots. Just be...
Yes.
You gotta talk OSC out of that. Be honest.
Have that conversation, please.
Yeah. So, and now, also do... Excuse me. Got the hiccups again. Do keep in mind, the vast majority of these things actually do go away with the simple roleplay rule of attempt things, reaches for, not grabs hold of, tries to punch, not punches in the rectum, swings the weapon at, not cuts off arm like Jaime Skywalker Lannister, that kind of thing. You just attempts negate 90% of the big conflict that some people have in either
people who
touching
are like,
or punching or
I
fighting.
expect you to ask permission. I did. I said attempts.
Yeah.
That is permission.
Yeah, I don't need to go to Indigo Jewels. I mean, basical.
Basical.
Basical?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
Is, I have the best words, the amazing words. Believe me,
sweetie.
I'm a little worried about you.
I've had coffee. So much coffee. No.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a cost between basic and basically.
It's a cost between.
It's a costly.
A cost.
I might be having a minor stroke. I have had a lot of neck pain, and the pressure builds up.
Don't laugh about that. That's not funny, Ashton.
and builds up in my spine, and I can feel it flood forward and give me a migraine. So,
yeah, it's been bad.
Yeah, it's been bad. But it just his original question is, asking permission to act out emotionally dramatic role play with a person. To be honest with you, I mean, if you're role playing, anything that might come of it, like if I've seen people like. Even if they don't write attempts, like pats them on the back and like, you didn't ask me permission. Like, well, we're in a friendly setting and you're joking around. It's like, all right, well, fine. Attempts to pat you on the back. Now I sound like an idiot. I mean, if you got to do that, I guess you got to do that. But
I do it. I say attempts to at everything. And if they're like, you need to ask my permission,
as you attempt to give me reassurance.
Yeah. If we do emotional, intense role play, I'll have people ask me if it's okay. And I'm like, dude, we're in a public setting. Do whatever you want as long as you attempt it.
Yeah. And for me, that's the same thing of like, if you're in a bar and somebody comes and's like, hey, how's it going? And pats you on the back, you're not dodging out of the fucking way. You're going to get patted on the back and they're going to order the drink and you're just going to have to live with it. I don't even like being touched and I can't dodge all of the little pokes and prods people try to give me. And I hate it. I want to punch them for it. Punch them right in their esophagus. So anyway, crap not to ask permission for OOC or just putting it out there, say it all, ever. Don't give your life story to someone you just met.
Oh, jeez.
Especially OOC. It's bad enough when people do like, hi, how's it going? It was a long... dark trail to get here through a stormy night. I remember the blood as it ran down as my wife was murdered by assassins.
And then they'll hear me slowly stabbing myself in the face for asking anything.
I imagined dragons, and they killed her. Yeah, like okay, we get it. Also a good band, but you don't need to do that. But especially as bad as that is, it's worse to get that tell.
It's worth.
I'm having the best words tonight. Hey, Strafay.
Hey, Strafay.
Yay.
Maybe.
It is I,
there it is. Delayed reaction.
Well, I had to make sure everything was plugged up right.
Yeah, I get you. Hey, how's it
going, folks?
Good. Glad you made it. So,
yes,
did you have a good time not doing crack cocaine like I told everyone you weren't?
I had a great time not doing that and going really fast on a four-wheeler, yes.
Awesome. Also not doing crack cocaine on a four-wheeler.
Also not doing crack cocaine on a four-wheeler, because that would be illegal, right?
That would be illegal. That'd be highly illegal, because you're not supposed to drive and do crack cocaine.
So we should never do that, right?
Right.
So yeah, everything's good. We're all good here now. Thanks.
You do it like everybody else in Oklahoma, and you go to a Quick Trip, and you do it sitting down.
No, we don't know about them folks in OK, except for you two. All right.
Well, to be fair, most of us are swimming. Like we have.
True. I've been praying for y'all because none of the storms are up there.
We need it. What's so sad is there's it's called the Batfish. It's an old submarine from like World War II. It's been in dry dock forever. It's currently floating right now.
Yeah, I saw that. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's currently no longer land-bound. It's floating again.
Yeah, it's been land-bound for decades, and I think the last tie that was holding it down is broken. So if you're on the Arkansas River and you see an old military submarine, I'm pretty sure it's not armed, but I wouldn't go near it either.
Oklahoma deploys its last submarine.
That's right. The only submarine in Oklahoma, because we have so many. If there's one thing Oklahoma it's known for, being a landlocked state in the middle of the country. It's our submarines and battleships.
Everybody's got to have a navy, right?
It is actually, I will say this, here in Oklahoma, it is illegal to harpoon a whale from your car.
Well.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
So if you're out there
and
then
I'm safe.
About it,
I can come visit.
Yeah,
oh, gosh,
you're good.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why we don't have a lot of Eskimos here in Oklahoma. You're not allowed to do that anymore. So, don't tell your life story out of character.
Or in character. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Just
also,
let it come through naturally in the
moment.
We're
at a poetry hour.
We're at a poetry hour, apparently. That sounds like that was...
Because that's where the Lord Cave's addendum came in.
Oh, yeah. That's where you had was it 10 minutes minimum? Our maximum?
Limited your verse or your poem to under 10 minutes so everyone had a chance, because people were giving us our whole backstory in one shot for like 30 plus minutes.
So it wasn't even a poem, it was just them.
They were telling a story about their life, and it was like 20 minutes
The
long.
saga of their origin story and current
wow.
there, yes.
That is remarkably uncomfortable, and I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, it was bad.
Many faces were palmed.
Yeah.
Many eyes were rolled.
I had a situation come up right when I started. Actually, not right when I started. I'd been doing ESO for a little while, and I got a character that joined us. Well, we know him, but I won't say his name on air because I haven't asked.
Yeah,
see, I do ask. No.
I know it was. I don't even know if it was him. He's just the first one I would make fun of.
No. He will stab you. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So he was in multiple guilds, and in one of the guilds that he was in, that he joined under, and he told the guild leader that he was a spy. That he was a professional spy. He sold information. This is what he did. That's what he told them in his application.
Yeah.
He tells them this. And then he goes to their meetings and stuff, gets information, and sells it. And they flipped out because he didn't ask permission first.
You let him in the guild.
Yeah. He told you what he was. And I talked to the guild leader, and I was like, dude, he told you who he was. He told you what he did.
Right. Okay. So far, so good.
And you let him in, and he publicly attended, not just the guild, but other people. I mean, just publicly attended guild events like we do.
Like going to the tea house and getting information that TT does. Yeah, that's open to everybody. Okay.
He also ran into problems because he was at the tea house and gathered information on someone, which he then told one of my characters, and then was called out on it because he didn't ask permission to garner that information that they shared with the whole.
That was spoken out loud in public, that anybody there could have gotten if they had just shown up. Right.
So this is something, and I know I'm old. We'll say that up front.
No.
And I know that things have changed.
You're only as old as you feel, Jazz. That's why we both died 5 years ago.
But this whole ask permission thing is ridiculous. And if you say something in an open public forum or even in a limited public forum, but you say it out loud in front of 20 people, you do not have a presumption of privacy.
But Jazz,
it doesn't exist.
But Jazz, I am Soviet spy. Can I ask to photograph your fine documents?
I mean, there was a guy who said that he could go into Kia Karas's office and
I'm going to
take
take that as a yes.
And I said, this is an open place. It is possible that you could get in there. However, you won't be able to get out. So I wouldn't do that if I were you. Because anybody that goes into her office and takes anything from her office or opens any of those drawers will activate several wards, and the whole little room will lock down and you won't be able to leave.
It turns into an escape
room. By all
room.
means, go ahead. And he was like, I don't understand why you would do that. It's like, well, see, she has this father.
Well, and because of people like you, it's happened. You think you're not the first one. Now, the first one might have gotten away with it.
Yes,
after that,
because when we first opened and when we first started this, and Strayface's evil character got into the office and left a rose, and had opened and looked around a little bit, and then had left, and he got in and got out. There was no wards in place other than some listening wards that she puts so that she can activate and silence the room so she can talk privately to someone. That's the only wards that were in existence at that point. Well, that's not true anymore.
Right.
So he had the misfortune of coming along after that. But there's far too many people who think that whatever they roleplay in public is somehow protected and you can't use anything that they say without their permission.
It's like copywritten property or something like that.
Right, and they really believe that too, by the way, which is really funny because if you want to get into copyright law with me, you will lose.
Well, that and to be fair, you can't copyright anything in a game that's already
well, right. That would be my point.
Yeah.
You can't copyright something that's already copyrighted. Nothing that you do in a game is protected.
But I'm Duke Skywalker.
Sense. I could write a book about the roleplay that I have done and use everyone's character in here. And the only person that I would have to ask permission from is ESO.
Yeah.
And that's only if I mention ESO.
Juan Cholo is a legendary smuggler. I can get in there.
If you wrote the whole story of everything we did, like in EverQuest 2, as if, you know, all that role play. Yeah, you got to get permission from, well, I guess Daybreak Games now, but Sony at the time.
Yeah.
But
well, only if I mention them.
Right. Well, and it's like what's your that's the fucking lady.
The intellectual property of the game, which would be the names of the cities,
right?
The planet, that kind of stuff. All that stuff
50 Shades
is copyrighted with intellectual property.
The 50 Shades chick. Hers was originally Twilight fan fiction. You can't make money on Twilight fan fiction because it's not your property. So she switched it. Changed the characters, changed the locations, changed obviously the whole vampire werewolf thing, so it's really not any, you know, but she turned that into that horrible book series of mommy porn. Yeah.
And you can do that. It's completely legal.
Right.
I could write a book about people in space who use light swords and his name is Solaha and nobody could say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's so close to or you know, Juan Cholo.
You might be,
you know,
Juan Cholo, darling. Juan Cholo.
Right, Juan Cholo.
Juan Cholo. Hey, may the force be with you, eh?
Hobaka. I mean, you could. It doesn't matter as long as you change it just a little bit. It's like I can take a picture off the internet that is copyrighted, change the color, change one little other thing, and it's done. It's mine.
Meet my friend Chewie.
Can't say anything.
Hearing Hobaka, did anybody else suddenly see Chewbacca with like giant hoop earrings, a cheetah sprint on top of a miniskirt? Because that's horrifying.
Hobaka.
I'm
shaking
Hobaka.
tushy.
Mm-hmm. You don't know me, bitch.
Okay, that was bad. Anyway, yeah. So there's you don't own anything that happens inside the game.
Yeah, and in a role play, and even if ownership aside, I mean, just common sense. If you should we go into some politics? You know, you grab them by the pussy, 47 women, all the things that were said privately, but someone taped. Yeah, that's still able to be put out there. Yeah, It doesn't matter that it was said in a private setting if someone taped it and they put it out there. Now
there's no such thing as I do not give permission to be taped.
The only
only needs one person to have permission, and that means
the
person
only thing that changes that is if you're taping someone having sex without their permission. Then it's a legal thing. Ask Hulk Hogan.
Well, that's because then that's rape.
Right.
You can't videotape or tape or record in any fashion a crime.
But just at public speaking or you're in private stuff like that, you know, and there are some laws of unknowingly recording people without their permission, like in their homes and things like that, or, you know, dressing rooms.
That's different. It's a slightly different
that's
thing.
a different thing. We're talking about, you know, open settings like most role play happens in. And even in private settings, you know, if it's a one-on-one role play and then the person that you're talked to goes and blabs to a room full of other people right next door, well, that's the way it happened, and either you have to roll with the punches or you're going to have to stop role-playing with that person if you're really that pissed off.
As a writer, if I came up with a book, which I actually have in EQ2, I'm actually in the process of kind of documenting the whole role play. I went to each and every person and I asked them if it would be okay if I use their character. If not, I'll change name, and so I'm not just going to change the name. I'm going to change things, you know. But I had a couple people say no, and that's fine. I won't do it. I'm under no legal obligation, however.
Just being a decent.
I'm just being a good person,
right?
But like, you do not have, when your character is standing in Riften and you start talking about assassinating someone and they go and tell their boss and their boss comes in and takes you and you get mad saying, I didn't give that person permission to tell you anything. Seeley. And it's like, but you said
someone confesses to a robbery on Facebook and the police show up at their door. Well, I didn't give you permission to read my Facebook.
And they're mad. It's so funny. They're like, they videotape a crime and they put it on Facebook and then they're surprised when the cops show up. It's like, dude, come on.
They have their issues, but you made it pretty easy. Facebook
That's
will actually
on you,
give that information over. Yeah. Which I love those. I love those stories. So,
Florida man.
Yeah, and we had hit this, but you know, the Indigo Jewels. Should you ask permission for emotionally dramatic roleplay? The answer that no is the answer. The answer is just simply no. You know, if RP has gotten to a point where something emotionally or dramatic is happening, you just roleplay it out. You know, character death is out, obviously, so it won't kill them because that's just the automatic rule. What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Are you the one blinking that stupid thing?
Blinking what thing?
Yeah, in the thing. Yeah, that blinking.
Wait, there's a thing? What's
a
going
thing?
on here?
There's the
In
blink.
the outline. Someone keeps.
No, it's not me. I'm not blinking anything.
Someone is blinking the
Oh,
outline.
that's me.
Okay.
That's me. Sorry.
Distracting as fuck.
I'm sorry.
Blame it on the cougar.
So what are you laughing at now, then, Sib? What are you doing? You over there?
It
Nothing.
was funny. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I'm
I-
sorry. I was just highlighting and
let me-
unhighlighting and
let me-
highlighting and
let me show you.
unhighlighting. 'Cause I was
See that right there? See what I'm doing? All right, now you make a coherent point. Now but do it while trying to read it off of the outline. Now go ahead. Go ahead. Keep trying. Keep trying to read it as I highlight things
I'm
where it.
sorry. God.
Keep try.
It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Man, I have
Things that
to
give
find
me-
folks.
And I love how you blamed Sib first.
Well, she was giggling at something. What are you giggling at? Huh? What are you giggling at?
Hold on. I'm gonna put it in host chat.
Don't
Oh,
do it.
Sweet God.
Don't do it. I don't know what you.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh, no.
Oh, gee.
That's
I-
naughty.
Well,
That's
It's from American Dad.
so,
Yeah.
Sibs, I'll officially say you've reached cougar status. You and Jazz can fight it out now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what can I say?
Yeah. Yeah. Which, by the way, do 4 out of 5 of us have a birthday this fucking month?
Yes.
What the fuck is
We're
up
all
with that?
Gemini. What can we say?
I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds
No, I'm
like
a Taurus.
Yeah, Yunfei's early enough. She's Taurus, I think.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Taurus and Gemini. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's the
Yeah, I was
31st
earlier.
coming up. Strafei just had yours yesterday, day before.
I will not confirm or deny that.
Yeah, well, I'll go
Oh,
to Facebook and it'll tell
Mine
me.
was the 22nd.
And Jazz
Happy
is
birthday,
22nd.
everybody.
Yunfei's was
Thank you.
The 14th.
14th. See?
Yep.
Mine's
Yeah.
on the cusp, man. Boom.
man.
I'm both.
Maybe the best. I'm just saying.
The only real loser here is Sib, who's back in March, and, it's just, I don't know.
Pisces. Are you Pisces? What date? March what?
Sib.
Sib.
February 15th.
Maybe if you paid attention to the show and stopped looking at memes all day.
I'm addicted. I can't help it.
So, anyway,
Okay.
birthday.
Back to the-
Happy birthday, everybody, especially me, because I'm turning 40.
Yeah.
So,
Yay,
Happy
Ashen.
birthday.
so if you want to send anything to me, I would like an army of rabbits and one.
I just sent you something in chat. Okay.
One
Yeah, you don't want to look
about
at that, bro.
lightning.
I'll save you the headache. Just don't
yeah,
do it.
I don't need those kinds of plunder boobs on Peter Griffin.
You looked. There are some things you cannot unsee.
And
For
yet,
everything else, there's RP MMO Radio. Listen every Saturday.
except for when it's not on.
Except for when it's not on.
All right, so let's see. Where were we? Basking permission. Yeah. Okay, so obviously in roleplay, flat out, character death is out unless somebody puts it on the table. So that's not even an issue to consider. So any dramatic or emotional roleplay that happens, I mean, if that's where it's going, that's where it's going. Don't need to, like, oh, hey, is it okay if, like we talk about my character's past? I mean, yeah, it makes sense in context now. So, and we're doing it privately and we're getting to know each other. So, but is that okay? No, just fucking do it. And just do it in character, too. Don't do it out of character.
Or better yet, wait for some of your friends to ask your character,
Yeah!
hey, what happened to you? And your
Yeah.
friend met you. What a concept.
I mean, to be
And
fair...
please don't preface it with, oh, I've just had a bad day thinking about my past 20 years ago when I was a child.
Or Rolly going, hey, how did you get exiled, Trath? Well, you
Right.
see, darling, it was a horrible story. She said,
Yeah.
I would love to hear it. And tell me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's all you gotta do.
I mean, I know I'm not the only one. I do actually like hearing people's stories, and I will prompt them in character to tell it. But if they...
Sips has gone mad,
Okay,
by the way.
Going to just... Between the two of you, I don't know which one I hate more. In fact, if I combined my hate at this point, I think it would create Captain Planet. Or some sort of Voltron.
You would create Captain Haterade.
Yes. She's highlighting the shit I'm reading again. is what she's laughing at.
Oh, so you're talking to me and Jazz. Way to go, Jazz. High five.
I'm trying to stop laughing. I'm sorry.
I mean, Jazz
It's going
trolling
so
the script.
smoothly.
Instead of trolling the general chat.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost all professionality for you.
And I blame you for this, Trafay. You're the
Professionability.
You're rubbing off on them.
I mean, that's normal, bro. I mean, he's been gone like a month. I don't know. It's my fault.
Anyway.
Whew, okay. Let's go forward. I'm ready now.
All right. So, yeah, with character death being out, the only thing you might have to is, like, if you were bored enough to create a fake roleplay kid that you wanted to off and kill, but, you know, if you're at that point, chances are this is somebody you already know really well, and this list really wouldn't matter to you.
Well, I would have to say that if you're going to kill off a kid, you probably should have a conversation,
Right,
because that can be
that's
trigger
the
for
caveat.
people, and that's something that really needs to be discussed. If you're going to have a rape scene or
That definitely, without a doubt.
molestation, or
Well, that goes to the ERP thing. I mean, that's
that's
under the ERP.
Anything that has to deal with incredibly intense violence or sexual violence or anything like that probably should be talked about just ahead of time and get a person a heads up if you want to skip it or not. I've had that conversation. I've said, Vaka came from a very bad place, and you just asked her to explain something to you, and it's very awful. So do you want me to go into it or just summarize OOC and you can just pretend you heard it?
Yeah.
And I've had people say
torture. Some people really do have.
Some people love it.
Very squeamish. You know, like
and some people are very squeamish. And so I've had people say, I really don't want to hear it. Can we just summarize it? So I'll give them a quick summary, and they'll go, that made me ill. Okay, we'll just go forward from there.
Jazz, for example, like I could write out the most disturbing thing possible, and she's fine with it. But if I did turn that thing into a movie and put it in front of her, she'd have nightmares.
She would not watch it.
Yes.
Yeah. She's a complete freak. We understand.
I can roleplay out eating someone, and I'm fine with that.
Tell me more, Jazz. How did
that could be taken in two contexts.
I think that was low-hanging fruit, darling.
I enjoy eating people in roleplay, no matter how you twist it. Is that better?
In both ways, you should ask for
in
permission.
every way possible.
And you should exactly. And that's the boss said. Ask permission every way. AK, we kidnapped somebody. We were given a Wayward Silver Circle member to reform. She gave it to Rengots and Nase. So I had to ask this person, like, are you right? You're in the spider's web. It's going to get really bad. Are you okay with A, B, C, and D? She said yes. I'm like, all right. Here's your forewarning. Last call for alcohol. I'm good. Okay. And some terrible crap went down, but you have to ask permission. You can't just like bust on somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
And say, by the way, this is happening. You have no choice. Like,
there are certain sensibilities some people they just can't handle. So
yeah, exactly.
If it's gonna combat, if you're swinging lightsabers or shooting blasters at each other or swinging swords, that's one thing. Other than making sure you know how it's gonna work. But if you're doing a William Wallace and you're pulling his intestines out with a fire hose, you probably want to make sure that they're good with that.
Yeah, when you get to that, but normal stuff like I've had y'all get into scraps at Riften, and people are like, okay, so he's gonna smack her. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Let's just roll.
Just come on.
Let's get it done. And if they're like, I'd prefer not to roll, but he's probably going to hurt her, but not too bad. Are you okay with that? And I say, well, he's the size of a small tree. She's the size of his leg. It makes sense. She's probably going to get hurt. I'm okay with that. Just don't overdo it. I don't want her to die.
Bowel movements bigger than she is. Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. But beyond that kind of stuff, I don't expect people to ask my permission, and I don't usually do it. And I do have people say, I was really upset that your character was upset with my character, and I wish you would have asked me before you did that.
Right. And
sorry.
And I think I
sorry,
jumped ahead here without meaning to, but GamerCat, the other listener that was piped in on this, said, my character might not react well to this. Are you okay with playing it out? And that's basically what this is. That one's kind of a 50-50. You have to, for one, if you don't, you need to either, if you don't know the person you're role-playing with, and you don't know their sensibilities, then obviously you might want to take a chance. Like a Jazz, Sib, Strafei, Yunfei, I know them all well enough that this is not a conversation we would have. We all know each other well enough. I know. I just know not to do certain things and what things that they're perfectly okay with.
And when my character was going to cut somebody's balls off, I made sure that they were okay with that first. But the fight itself, no.
Oh, yeah, that doofus. I remember that.
He wasn't a doofus. He played a doofus.
Okay. I will correct myself. He was a savage dirtbag.
He picked a fight with the wrong Bosmer.
Yes. And he was also a little ridiculous.
He was a little ridiculous, but he was not a bad role player.
His name wasn't Theon, was it?
No, I don't remember what his name was. He had a weird
name. No, he was... Anyway. But yes, you have to ask permission.
Yeah.
Make sure it's cool person. Otherwise, you're just being a...
And he said, I don't care as long as you don't kill him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And he rolled with it. I got to give the guy credit. He's running around. His character's running around minus a ball. Okay.
Right.
He's a half gelding, as it were.
And we even role played trying to heal it back on. It was good RP, and we were all snickering. It was pretty.
I stayed away from that RP.
Yeah,
anyway.
It was hilarious. Poor Tava.
So really, with this, I mean, everything you do ever, innocently, like I think I hit her this one, but innocently touching someone, a pat on the back, these kinds of things,
bumping into someone, your shoulder brushes against them in a bar. That's going to happen.
Just don't take. There's a certain level of seriousness, which we do get to at the end of this as well, but there is a level, you lighten up, Francis. It's okay to let things happen to you. It does not everything requires a critical role to happen to your character, just like it does it in real life,
And like there was a guy. Oh, go ahead, Sib. I can't.
Sometimes that bump on the shoulder ends up leading to more roleplay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Like this guy that I really enjoyed role playing with. He hangs out with people that I have on ignore, and I guess that meant we couldn't RP anymore, which I understood. But I enjoyed his role play a great deal. And at one point when we were first getting to know each other, him and Cial hated each other. And he would constantly kind of rag on her. And one day he walked up and he patted her on on the head with his hand. And he had done that several times. And every time he did it, she kind of shirked away or tried to get away with her a bit. But she obviously would never quite do it. And she warned him the last time he had done it. And I sent him a tell when he patted her on the head. I'm like, so are you okay with her reacting to this? He said, have fun. I had a feeling she was going to react badly this time.
Right.
So, he paid attention.
The warning. Yeah.
Yeah. And she reached up and I said, do you want to roll? He says, she's right there. The chances are, and he's half drunk. He's not gonna. And so she bent his finger back and broke it.
Yeah.
And I said, rack, don't touch me.
Mm-hmm.
And sweet little Cial became not so sweet. But again, I still asked. And those are the times when you ask. But just getting bumped, I had people bump into me. I've had a bottle come sailing by my head. That kind of stuff. No, I don't expect you to ask. And I don't think it's a good idea to ask, which is, of course, the next point.
Yeah. So here's a bit, too, is why using too much OOC is a bad thing and actually leads to more mixing, which it can and often does. When you ask permission for every little thing, you give all random control away and leave nothing to chance, which, by the way, very boring. This causes scripted roleplay and creates sensitive little snowflake roleplay that is the death of random RP always.
Boy, does it.
Yeah. Jess, are you the one that wrote in this stuff? Because I can't remember.
I did.
Okay. When I say I've had migraines and stuff, there's been things that have happened lately, and did I do that? Yeah.
Tell it like it is, Jazzy.
But no, and you're absolutely
right. I wrote all of this.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I'm dead serious. I don't remember writing the stuff above this
I can read
either.
It if you want me to.
No, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's the first one. Is it creates overly sensitive people who think they have to control every ounce of the role play that
it turns it into scripted role play.
Right, and I hate scripted role
right
play
off the bat.
I do too.
When you ask permission for every little thing, you give too much power to people to refuse any and all consequences for their actions and create and encourage feel-good RP that never amounts to anything but cyber.
Yeah. It's like it turns anything that could be a complicated storyline into an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where everyone ends up happy and nothing ever actually happens.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's permission. You know, hey, can I get in a fight with you? No, my character would avoid that fight at all costs. Okay.
Yeah, what fun is that? You just stand around staring at each other.
Now we're just going to sit here and drink or pretend to drink fake alcohol for the next hour and a half because nothing can happen.
Okay, next one. When at least 30% of people in RP struggle with the OOC IC line, talking OOC-ly creates an artificial sense of intimacy and encourages people to align their character to yours as if they know you, which they don't.
And there is a certain amount. You know, that's how we all got to know. Is talking out of character. We didn't get to know each other this well by only talking in character.
Yes, but it happened. I think
right
slowly, and we got to know each other a long time before, and it just kind of oozed into a friendship. I don't think any of us thought we would ever be friends because we didn't know each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Jazz.
Voice chat changed really everything. Yes,
brought us all together. I think.
Well, I mean, the first time I role played with Jazz, I was pretty sure I refused her sexual advances in character. I was pretty sure I was never going to talk to her again.
You beat the cougar off? Oh my goodness, dude.
Well, I mean, you know.
Badge achievement.
No one told Baka no.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just trolling.
That was their first interaction, or one of their first like one-on-one interactions, and she started hitting on him and was trying to mac on him, and he's like, "Yeah, no." And I honestly, out of character, I thought, well, and I let her know, I was like, it's just not something I'm into. I don't do that, and I was like, well, that's probably the last I'll ever see this person. And surprised, she actually was like more intrigued by that, the fact that I didn't try to bone her right then and there.
See, now you were challenged, though, bro. That's what that was.
Well, Sealy, I was impressed because he actually wanted the role play, and most people don't.
Right.
So
there you go.
That was a draw.
Yeah, and Sealy, I thought she was just gonna be like, well, I didn't get my cybers. I'm gonna go somewhere else to get my cybers. Turns out,
right. I've had people in ESO start macking on Cial. And she's flirting with them, and they're flirting with her, and they're like, let's go somewhere. And I send them a tell, and I'm like, okay, before we do this, I want you to understand that while Cial is a very sexual character, I do not ERP.
Never mind.
And they just literally walk away. They don't say anything. They just walk the fuck away and start flirting with some other chick. It's hilarious.
Here's
because
your
that's
sign.
all they wanted.
I bought you all them drinks at the bar, and you're not going to give me a blowy?
Exactly.
I mean, that's basically what they're doing, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
You're kind of a dick.
So that segues into less than 15% of role players desire anything deeper than sexual content and self-gratification of their tune. This means that OOC connection will automatically create issues from the get-go. And I stand by this.
See, if it was just sexual contact, I would disagree with you, but the fact that you put self-gratification, because that actually doesn't have to just be sexual, just their character looking awesome all the time and always being the winner, I will have a much harder time disagreeing with that. With that caveat in there, I'd have a much harder time.
In all of my years of role-playing, I have probably only, and you know, all of you are in the 15% because I only encourage long-term
and of course all
role-play.
of our amazing listeners because they're fantastic and are just like us.
They are glorious people.
They're good.
I do not know them though. Anyway, the 15% of the role players out there are the ones who are, and there's another 15% that do ERP and do enjoy ERP, but also look for role play and are serious role players.
Right.
But I'm not saying that those people aren't good role players. I'm just saying that only 15% of role players are looking for anything other than sexual content. There's a very small percentage of people who don't ERP, who don't look for it, don't want it, and do not encourage it, and fade to black if they do.
Mm-hmm.
Kishmas was one of the first young men his age that I had bumped into in a long time, while his character was still sexual, he did not ERP, just like you. Yeah. And that was important because it was the role play that was important, and was what drew me to him.
More about the story than the
because the story was more important than knocking boots for 45 minutes while somebody types "oh baby, oh baby." It was really, I just want the role play.
Likes the
other stuff is second connection. It's not. It's the second thing. It's not the first thing.
Yeah.
And I really liked that.
Yeah, and it is definitely a hard thing to find, especially in the.
And I honestly think that's why a lot of people don't RP anymore.
But I think
they've walked away because there's no.
It's hard. You have to be extremely. I think that I'll be honest. I've had a hard time with role play the last, this whole year, and I think part of it is I've lost my patience for waiting around for the good stuff, so I just don't.
And see, I don't mind wading through crap to find gold. I have done it from the get-go, and I'm kind of, because I have this very pragmatic look, where I'm like, it's only going to be 15% of the people I meet. 15 out of 100 people that I interact with are actually looking for solid role play, and 30% are only looking for role play. 30% of them, while they meet
too many times, and I can't do
they still
that
want
anymore.
role play.
Yeah.
Huh?
I've gotten pink eye too many times. I'm just not willing to anymore.
So that brings to the next point, which is constant OOC connection and lack of sleep. Lack of sleep. Well, that's not wrong.
Lack of sleep also does it. Yes.
There was lack of sleep for years.
Let's try again. Constant OOC connection and lack of deep, meaningful RP creates an entire population of half-hearted trolls who RP for 10 minutes, troll for 10 minutes, and then wander off to do something OOC. They have no issue staying OOC or using,
Yeah, I saw you put
smiley
that
faces and stuff in roleplay.
Little emoticon things in their roleplay.
Yeah, they don't take it seriously. They're just like, dude, chill out. It's just roleplay. And they don't understand that for some of us, it's theater and it's fun and it's a hobby.
Right.
Just like making an airplane or whatever. It's a hobby, and I take it seriously.
Yeah, there's a certain level of seriousness you have to have, and there's taking it too seriously and not letting anything happen.
Well, yes,
which destroys the fun.
Yes,
being a Nazi isn't good either.
Right.
But
but you do have to have a certain level of seriousness about it. Otherwise, it just turns into what was that when I was in Servants of the Tribunal. One of the former members who supposedly was a great role player, but every time I saw him, he was just a jackass. I don't even remember his name now, but everyone was role playing down in their little kitchen basement area, and he's fucking around out of character basically, and like laying across the back of the couch. They were all laying on it, and it's like, dude, we're role playing here. We don't need to be trolled by. We get trolled by them bad enough. We don't need to be trolled by other role players. Like, quit, guys, just having fun. It's like, yeah, well, nobody else was with you, so step off or don't. And you just wandered off. It's the same damn thing. He was done with role play, so now it was, and I saw other people do that as well.
Yes.
They role play.
There is
their role play's
group of
done,
people that do
and
that.
then they'll just fuck around OOC around you while you're still carrying on. Just because they're done with it, everyone else has to be too.
In Final Fantasy, that was really bad.
And there's a lot of it in ESO as well, where people, one of our guild leaders, for crying out loud, in one of the guilds I was in, turned into a werewolf with a bunch of his friends and trolled all the role players and did spells and everything else while everybody else was trying to role play. And then he got really pissed at me because I was like, dude, you're the freaking guild leader.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Lead by example.
We get trolled enough by the trolls. We don't need to be trolled by role players.
That I've been kind of like Ashen, where I'm either ready for roleplay or I just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And when you deal with the people of which he mentioned, you get pink eye from because you get impatient because it's always the same stupid drama.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't even care. I have made comments in the past of talking to Jazz. So how's the derp show rolling? Mm-hmm. Unknowing that Jazz takes it so seriously, she thinks I'm insulting all the roleplay. I'm like, no, not you, Jazz.
Yeah.
Just the people I don't want to see.
Just the ones
She's like,
that are
well,
doing
clarify
this.
that because she got upset. I did not mean to upset her, but that can happen if you're so invested and someone says an offhanded comment, you might take it personal.
Right. Yeah. No,
because to me, this is my connection. This is my theater. This is what I do to relax.
But sometimes you get so burned out. I think you see the same train wrecks, and you're like, "Oh, that car's going to go there. That gas station's going to set on fire. Tree's going to explode."
Right.
Okay.
You
same time tomorrow, guys.
Even Kishmas to some degree. A lot of role players that have been role playing a long time are all kind of in that boat at this point. They're just like, I don't fucking care anymore. And there's a lot of role players who have walked away because of this half-hearted BS, and they just don't want to deal with the cyber whores and the drama queens, and they're just tired.
There's that. Yes, you get tired of it. I think 76 has rejuvenated my roleplay spirit a bit. I mean, there's other factors.
Ironic in a lot of ways too.
Well, yeah, because then you don't have any, and I'm just trolling around. I'm like, okay, I miss the substance.
Right.
So then I go back to the other side of that coin.
But I mean, I'm trying really hard, and so is Strafe in ESO to build some substantive. I can't even say that word.
Substantial.
Substantive.
Substantive.
There. Thank you.
I can speak a good word. Why do they have to be like 5,000 consonants and syllables?
I tell you
long?
what, man, we're building that content, man, and people are going to check it out. It's going to be a good time for all.
And that's what we're trying to do. Now,
we even got a snow cone stand going on by the guild hall. You should check it out. Vodka's extra. It's under the table. Don't ask in person. Just ask for the special snow cone.
You need to do an advertisement that way.
Seriously, that was pretty good for off the cuff.
Next point. Being this, RP for 10 minutes, troll for 10 minutes, it's your $14.99. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But don't turn around and then try to have serious RP with me, because I'm not going to include you.
Right.
Because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have a serious thing going on and then have you bouncing around in the background acting like a doofus because you're bored. I will tell you to leave, or I will boot you from the instance.
Guaranteed to get Jazz on your case. Start jumping around the house like a bunny and flipping out.
That's true. You
will end up guild banned and or worse. That's great. Please do it for my entertainment. No, wait, don't do that. Don't.
The 2 weeks ago when I first brought my character, or second time maybe, I brought my character over in Star Wars to talk to you guys on the fleet, and some dude walked up, and I funny enough, I had already had him on mute just from hearing his stuff around there, and as soon as he walked up, Jess was like, "Yeah, he's already on mute." I'm like, "Hey, yeah, me too." I don't even know what the guy did, but apparently he was. I think he's one of those characters. I don't remember his name, obviously.
And he had a role-playing name, and I have watched him actually role-play on occasion. But the fact that he jumps around like a troll 70% of the time means he's on automatic ignore, and I will not talk to him.
Yeah, he walked up to the table, and I don't think a single person responded to whatever he might have. He was on block, so I didn't see what.
Yeah, he was on ignore for me, so I didn't hear anything that he said. But everybody wisely didn't even address him, and he eventually walked off.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
So, it's their $14.99. They can spend it however they want. I totally agree with that. But it's the death knell of serious, deep, meaningful RP with more than a select group of people. And that's how come I avoid OOC. But I do want to add that if you aren't careful, you become a very small, insular group of scripted RPers who don't let anyone new in. And maybe that troll, and I have met a couple people that I thought were trolls. Cough, Strafe, cough.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Gormal, when I first met him, I thought he was a troll.
Well, I was a troll, darling.
To be fair, he was an actual troll.
Okay, the race troll. I thought you were trolling our peers. But I very quickly, and I didn't know it was Strafe. Because in EQ2, you don't know accounts. So I had no idea it was the same character I'd been role-playing with forever. And he was great. And my husband played a character, and I forget what he was called. Not Death Note. I don't know. He had a really funny troll name. But he would sing. He was a bard, and he would sing. And people thought he was a troll. Well, he was a race troll, but they thought he was just trolling our peers.
Right.
He wasn't. So, and there was a Tonga, I can't remember his name, that was in our guild for a little while, who had a really trolly sounding name. And, well, for Ratonga, sometimes they do.
Their names were pretty off the wall.
Right. So, but, I'm willing to give people, Wrong Way. I did not know Wrong Way was a role player. When I first met Wrong Way, I thought he was a troll,
or just player that was just
because he was literally bouncing around the room singing. Now it was part of his character. His character was really drunk, and it turned into one of the best.
He's a good guy.
He was one of my best friends. He was such a sweet guy, and when he died, it just shattered my heart. He was in real life. He died of a heart attack, and he was an amazing person. And I never would have met him if I had been a Nazi about it, because I wasn't. I give everybody a chance. I don't put you on ignore until you earn it.
You gotta work at it. I first joined her guild in EQ2 as a green floppy-eared troll, literally, and she let me in. And I was trolling Little Faye at the time in the bar there, the old popular bar in Freeport. And she let me in, and apparently she liked it. And then I brought my Dark Elf in later.
Yep.
So Gormal came first, but hey.
But I had been role playing with Rungots already. Is a visual thing. I had seen him around. I knew who Rungots was. I did not know who Gormal was.
With Nilly and Nilok back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were part of Nilok's group, Mr. 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Still a little bitter about that.
But I was the emperor puppeting that whole guild.
One of the things, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Natish, actually, who wandered into our guild hall in the middle of a guild event. And was this bright yellow Fae.
Fae, yeah.
Who was brand new to RP. And we started, and I didn't know if this person was, a serious role player or not. And ended up being an officer over time.
Mm-hmm.
But if we had just not allowed strangers to come into our guild hall, if we had not allowed people to just kind of wander in sometimes, and she stood at the front of the guild hall screaming at the dragon, wanting a kiss or something like that. I remember it was hilarious. And it's important when you're dealing with OOC versus IC that you give people a chance to show who they are. And I never had an OOC conversation with any of these people. Other than are you a role player? Yes or no? Right. That was it.
Are you
and
just
if they said
a dick
yes
or not? Yeah.
Okay. And we would just let it ride.
Yep. Nope. That's a good way to
do it. I've never, and you got to understand too, Ashen, me, Rungots, all predate audio stuff.
Yeah.
We had not TeamSpeak. What was it?
Ventrilo.
Ventrilo.
Is still a nightmare to deal with if you have
to. It is. But we had that for raids that we all struggled with. But that was it. There was no voice chat. It did not exist. Everything was typed. And it took me, you can ask these guys, because they were both wanting us to go more into voice and stuff early on, and I wouldn't budge.
Yeah.
Because it was too much OOC.
Yeah, and I don't get behind that either.
I came around, and I'm fine with it now, but yeah, it took a while, and I still to this day I don't talk to people I don't know. It takes a while. They have to come into our, when we make a group and they end up in our group, and I get to hear their voice and they're not a dick in real life. And so, then I'll talk to them more and stuff. So if you are one of those people that constantly talks OOC, I can just about guarantee you also deal with a lot of drama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that it's worth taking a step back and saying, how much of this am I bringing on myself?
Yeah. Let the roleplay chips fall where they may. You don't have to explain every little detail.
Nobody needs to know why your character just did what she did. Nobody.
Yeah.
Let it come out
in character.
Naturally.
Yeah. Nope. That's pretty much.
But you have to understand my character.
Right. Well, we can do that if you just play your character. I don't need.
Yep.
I don't need to. I can watch the Star Wars movies. I don't need to watch the version of it with George Lucas talking over it, explaining why he came up with it. I do that maybe later because I want to know. But
Ashen, I'm the cloned hand of Luke Skywalker. Right. You have to know my backstory.
I don't need to hear Ryan Reynolds talking over Detective Pikachu about his motivation for playing Detective Pikachu as he's talking as Detective Pikachu, which, by the way, was a good movie. I enjoyed it. There's no reason for it. Just let the movie and let the role play flow as it's gonna flow. It's okay. You just use OOC to avoid little things, or if you're just joking around because everyone's off playing the actual game and no one's role playing at the moment, that's all right. You can do that. It's okay. So I do want to tell one thing I had found that I wanted to, and this one here, ladies, listen up, okay? This one actually is specifically for you. This is a new game coming out.
Oh no!
It's called Eternal Magic. It's gonna be it's an MMORPG that was just kind of announced and contains epic 80-player battles. It's got a MOBA mode, PvP, and player housing. So okay. So now there is one little kind of weird thing is in their press release. And now tell me, ladies, if any of this sounds even slightly, maybe, possibly condescending. Now, this is the quote. This isn't me saying it. Last but not least, A small bonus for the girls.
Oh, fuck you.
So where do you guys think this is going to go from here?
You can kiss my entire ass. That's not going to fly.
Last but not least, a small bonus for the girls. They already announced there's housing, which I when I first read this, I was like, well, I mean, everybody likes housing. I guess.
Why do girls need a bonus?
Okay.
What the hell?
So what bets on what the bonus is? Anybody?
Well, it better not be like increased DPS, or I may have to just like pick it.
So you got a guess? Anybody? Okay.
Charisma, I'll go with. Beyond that, no.
No, sweet Jazz. Jazz. Sweet Jazz. What you just said would have been so much better. Last but not least, a small bonus for the girls. Every Shield Maiden can download a photo and take part in a beauty contest. Other players will make gifts and give attention to their favorite ones. The statue of the most popular girl will be installed in the capital city.
Blech.
No, I'm playing that game. It can kiss my entire... Oh, my God. That just pisses me right the hell off.
What if I wanted to make... Am I not allowed to enter? I make pretty girls.
Sure, go for it.
Pretty girls.
Won't be me. It's all run by men. Oh, my God.
So I read that. I'm like, last but not least, a small bonus for the girls. Every Shield Maiden can download a photo and take part in the beauty contest.
A photo of their tune or a photo of the players?
I hope of their tune.
I hope of the tune.
I was thinking tune.
That's what I'm assuming.
I
read that. I thought tune.
Because they got to make a statue of it, so it'd have to be with the in-character graphics. But at the same time,
I wouldn't put a picture of
still
myself up.
Wildly condescending. I don't know who's the
I want to know who thought that was a good idea.
And anybody that knows me, how ardent of a feminist am I?
Yeah, no.
No. And even I was like, wow. Dick move.
See, all I hear when I hear something like that is that they want people to roll girls so that they'll have a lot of titty and people will want to play. That's it.
Maybe their PR press department should have like a minor requirement of having, I don't know, talked to women before.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that.
They actually have talked to a female that was not their relative.
Yeah, and I mean, given I've looked at this game, it's one that I just saw come up. It looks like every game from the last 10 years. It's got it just looks awful.
What is the name of this game again?
Eternal Magic.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sure to tell my boys that's a no.
No, trust me. Looking at it, it's a Lineage-esque game in the MMOs, and Lineage is one of the Asian MMOs, so your boys probably wouldn't touch it anyway, regardless of the long legs and boobs.
It does look like it. Wow. It's just like a clone.
Yeah, so... All right, well, with that, I just wanted to get the female reaction on that, make sure I was still in touch with my feminine side. Turns out...
Every time someone says that,
something for the girl.
Rahanar agrees. Every time someone says female, all we can hear are the Ferengi.
Female? You let your females wear clothes?
Every time.
Yeah, I always had a very visceral reaction to Ferengi. I just wanted to stab them.
But at least they were honest. You know,
they were honest. I'll give them that.
They were a great concept for a race of, completely chauvinistic, big-eared, and I love how their lobes were their dicks, basically.
Yeah.
Such a great concept.
Actually, their balls, I think, would be a more apropos
I don't know.
comparison.
I don't give it too much of a thought on that one. But, because
they still claim to have phallic symbols.
Right. Yeah, they still have that, but they're very sensitive.
Yeah.
Very sensitive. All right, so... this last bit here, it's just real quick. I don't know if anybody here, if you've not seen Game of Thrones and you don't want to be spoiled, you can go. But I know most of you either watched it, like me and Sib, or you didn't.
Don't care.
Right, or you don't care.
I'm so far behind on it. I don't even care anymore, man.
At this point, yeah. And I know everybody says, it's the journey, not the destination. Yeah, well... the destination probably shouldn't be a fiery pit of badly written crap. When a series is doing really well for like 6 or 7 seasons, and the pacing is nice and slow and methodical, and the company is willing to spend more money to stretch it out another 20 episodes instead of compacting it into 6, and you completely rewrite all your characters, which would have been possible. For example, Daenerys, we always knew she was kind of on the crazy side. It runs in her family, but she went from a crazy of 2 to an 11 just because somebody killed one of her dragons and her best friend and a couple other little things. And then suddenly she went from the savior of... She had liberated people from slavery across the sea, and she had strung them up and, for miles around to prove how bad slavery was, and she was a person of the people. And then she wanted the people that she was going to at the landing and wanted them to surrender and rise up against Cersei. And she had an out. If they ring the bells, the people have spoken and they are going to overthrow her and they'll open the gate. So if you hear those, don't kill them, don't attack. So she hears the bells. She got exactly what she wanted. So now let's burn women and children and hundreds of thousands of people without going to the actual queen and her castle, which I can see off in the distance because it's about a half mile off the ground.
Mere collateral damage, sir. Mere collateral damage.
Not to mention you're using your dragon to burn innocent men, women, and children in the city for about an hour of the show. There's plenty of time to be like, oh, no, I've made a terrible mistake and come to my... No. Arya, badass, little girl, assassin, changed faces of the dead, killed the night guy. She basically runs around like a peasant the entire time, having absolutely no idea what the fuck is going on, and doesn't do anything for the rest of it. Basically, the entire ending of Game of Thrones was written by a really bad role player. Like, they had a really good story, and it was really complicated and intricate, and then, like, they had to go, so they just kind of, like, okay, so, real quick, we're gonna wrap this up.
I got a hot date. This happens. Roll events. Roll initiative. Go.
Right. Roll initiative. We got an hour to wrap this shit up. By the way, okay. So my character, it was like we have those characters like, oh wow, it's a really intricate and interesting character, and then like they have a bad day at work, or their cat. Not that this happened to anybody in our family, poops on their chest in the middle of the night. Our daughter.
Totally uncool.
Yeah, our daughter had that happen to her boyfriend in the middle of the night. Cat pooped on his chest. So you wake up.
The cat was like, "You did not belong here, sir."
But you wake up in a bad mood. So you're interesting and a very complicated character. Suddenly you're like, I just want them to be a bad person today. So they go from being interesting and complicated to two-dimensional wall-leaning assassin that has to tell everybody they're a two-dimensional wall-leaning assassin. Roll credits. It was so bad. I loved the show. It was really good. And I'll be honest, the books are hot garbage after the second one. Couldn't get through them, even in audio form. Having someone read the books to me, I couldn't get through them. They're boring. They're very boring.
Oh, me too. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought
no. It was so bad. And the show at least made it interesting. Yeah, they did it, but if the twists and turns that came about, people are justifying it left and right, and you can, not a lot of people, about 50% of people were completely disappointed like I was, according to the little headline I saw. And you could have justified that if you had stretched out the change in your character. Changing a character is fantastic. Like, for example, Jaime Lannister, who fucked his sister in the first episode and was deeply in love with her, and that was all that, and he had slowly had a redemption arc where he realized how toxic the two of them were together, and they were terrible people, and that she was a monster and had to be stopped. So what does she do? He makes it with another lady he's actually fallen deeply in love with, and the day before the attack, he leaves and goes to his sister and says he didn't want to be with anyone else but her, and now they're going to die and be buried alive under bricks. Completely undoing 8 seasons of his character growing.
So I didn't watch the show, like, at all. Mm-hmm. But I did read a synopsis of the last episode. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't help but think, like, what was there, like 8 seasons, you said?
Yeah, ended on 8 seasons, which was really more like 7.5 because they didn't even give the last season a full 10 episodes.
Okay, well, so 7 seasons of, this fantastic thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then reading the synopsis and how it ended, I was like, I would have been pissed.
It was vaguely disappointing.
Like, having invested so much time and energy and love into this story, and then having it just... Because to me, just reading the synopsis, it seems like it was very abruptly ended.
It really was. Like, they didn't want to do it anymore, so they're like, we're just gonna wrap this up because I got a birthday party in like an hour. It was just so disappointing, and I get it. Oh, it's a stupid TV show. It is a stupid TV show, and it's a stupid book series. But everything we enjoy in life is also stupid. Enjoying sports is a stupid sport. You can say the same thing. It's stupid sports. I like books. It's a stupid book. I like golfing. Well, golfing's just awful all around. I like soccer. I'd actually rather be golfing.
It's maybe a stupid sport, but when that music comes on, da-da-da, 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 for some reason you get super pumped.
Right, because if that's what you're into. And it's just because you don't enjoy it doesn't mean other people aren't passionate about it, unless it's soccer, in which case it's awful. I don't care what the rest of the world says. It's boring. So it was just disappointing and really for no reason, because the HBO was totally like, yeah, see that pile of money? That's yours. You can do with what you can make more of this. And it's gonna be great. So there was no reason to do what they did, honestly, that I'm aware of.
Did you see the cover of Entertainment Weekly today?
Yeah, where the
Daenerys or Amelia stands behind Daenerys's fate or something. I can't remember.
Right.
What
Well, and I could have had they stretched out why she had come to that fate with a lot more episodes. So that's the thing. Everything could have made sense. It was one of those things where they rushed it so quickly that you skipped critical turning points and twists and turns that the characters would have needed to take to get to that point. And when
bad storytelling.
It was as Deadpool said, that's just lazy writing, and that's all it really came down to. It was just lazy writing. So, but it really was. It went from just an amazing story arc to somebody's badly written D&D campaign. It was it was like running. Here's a better for other nerds out there. It was like having a D&D campaign that lasted 9 years, and then suddenly the guy that was running it was going to have to move out of town here in like a month. So your 9 year the D&D campaign that still had probably another 2 years to complete got finished in about a month. Mm-hmm. That's basically what happened to all of Game of Thrones, and it's very disappointing would be the word. And I'm sure this will do wonders for the spin-off series that is going to be a prequel, knowing that they could bring this same high quality.
Yeah, if they knew there was going to be a sequel, why would they flush it the way that they
don't know. Like they're doing a prequel. It's not a sequel. They're doing a prequel series.
Yeah, but
guys, it's just Spaceballs, the search for more money.
Spaceballs, the search for more money. Merchandising. That's basically. And I don't know, Jazz. I mean, because it just
seems to me that's pretty.
It's stupid. Well, it's kind of like what they did it's like what's happened with the new Star Wars. You had J.J. Abrams, then you had Rian Johnson, and while I still enjoyed the movie, I can see where I have a lot of my own problems with it as well, and it undid all that excitement for Star Wars to the point where they started canceling things, and it hurt the Solo movie, which was actually really a good movie. And now they're down to doing a Star Wars movie, I think, once every 2 or 3 years from here on out because he botched it so badly. And everyone's like, well, the Star Wars, it's burnout. Are you kidding me? Marvel's pumping out 3 or 4 movies a fucking year, and they're not burnt out on Marvel movies. We're good. You know why? Because they're good, and they're well done. You can do it.
We're going to get a sweet Mandalorian series if you pay Disney the fee to watch it.
I'm willing to. At 60, I think their thing is going to be like $60 a year. That's actually not that bad, especially for new content and all the old Disney stuff. We talked about that earlier in the show. I think I'd pay $60 a year to watch a new Star Wars show. But that's just me. I'm also a huge nerd. So anyway, that's our unofficial, official thoughts on Game of Thrones, of which only one of us actually gave a shit enough, really, to really be aggravated by it, but it's also fun and content. So, hey, we got that going for us. So with that, let's kick on to music. Hey, look at that. Outplayer music.
Bye-bye.
So appreciate everybody tuning in.
Bye,
Remember,
everybody.
twitch.tv/RPMM Radio. Go ahead and follow, subscribe, like, give us your library card. I don't know. You can also reach us over we're on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Yeah, rpmradio.com/Discord. Join our Discord server. And if you got something you want to hear us talk about on roleplay, go to the roleplay questions or just send us private messages. We'll take whatever you got. We're good.
Also, all checks payable to Ash and Phoenix, care of RP MMO Radio.
That's right. Except don't do that because that doesn't
Except
exist.
don't do that.
Just make it out to cash. Right. So I want to thank my crew for being here. Jazz, Sip, Strafay, Sib, not Sip. I am really having a rough time.
Hey man, who's
tonight.
that Sip? I mean, she's kind of new, right? She works in the mailroom.
Sip Bay. So Jazz, Sib, Strafay, and Yunfei, thanks everybody for tuning in. I, of course, am Ashen Phoenix, and tune in next week when we'll go over why halflings should always ask for permission to do anything because they're gross and they'll get their little jam hand sausage fingers all over your stuff and it will be sticky. Very, very sticky. Next time on RPMMO Radio. Play on and keep the roleplay going. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.